thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let Attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Last week's GOP debate in Milwaukee was quite the gift to Joe Biden. The president must be amazed at his good fortune. In the first debate, the Biden-orchestrated fiasco in Afghanistan of 2 years ago came up only fleetingly. His appeasement of the Chinese Communist Party and its dictator for life, Xi Jinping, barely rated a whisper. And not a word was spoken about the left's sustained assault on the Supreme Court and the moral threat it poses to the rule of law. Instead of calling viewers' attention to Biden's disastrous first term and why, for the good of the nation, Biden must be denied his second one, the Republican candidates mostly agreed with each other, but did so in a combative way that will serve only to further divide an already divided GOP primary electorate. Talk about missed opportunities. The seriousness of this moment for America and for the world did not come through at all. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy. Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know, Fox News Chicago baffles me. Not really, but...
Why? What's the problem?
Let me hear lay out the argument. It's always in the cellar with respect to ratings.
True.
It has been for a long time. Nobody watches it. And
well, there's some people who...
I mean, I understand literally not no one watches it, but effectively no one watches it. And so you would think, like, here's an opportunity, market opportunity. Forget just a market opportunity, just from a business perspective. One thing we could do is when all of the other stations serve as the comm shop for the powers that be in the city, in the county, in the state, maybe we could be the station that positions ourselves as challenging the powers that be, you know, doing the job the fourth estate is supposed to do. And, you know, Fox has had some people, and they still have, like, Anita Padilla will challenge, but Flannery's gone now. Yeah. Dane Placco's gone.
Dane Placco's gone?
Well, he's effectively, I mean, he doesn't do the investigative journalism
he used
on
the weekends.
Yeah.
He does. He's a weekend.
And
Anita's kind of stuck in the studio because she's on mornings.
And so, but they just are part of the echo chamber. And let me give you an example of this. This Mimbo, and I don't even call it, they shouldn't even be called newsreaders. They're certainly not journalists, although I'm sure they all consider themselves journalists. They're not even newsreaders because they're not reading news. They're just...
There's so many newbies out there, I can't keep them straight, but
they're just...
Who's this one?
They're just propaganda readers is what they are. And occasionally they'll use their training from Russia Today when they interview somebody like the mayor of Chicago. This guy, Scott Schneider, who you'll recall I was critical of when he co-hosted a debate with Flannery in the mayor's race because he doesn't know anything, and he's just there to polish apples. Well, that's what he did in this 11-minute interview with BLM Brandon. 11-minute interview. You know what topic didn't come up?
Please tell me they started with public safety and crime.
Didn't come up at all.
How?
Didn't come up at all.
Not at all?
Not a single question about public safety. But what he did get into, you know, because he wants to show the human side of politicians. It's such a wonderful service the com shop of the state provides. How are your kids and your family adjusting to your new celebrity?
My children don't think it's hard to accept the fact that your dad is cool.
Oh my
And so
God.
that's the challenge for them, because even if they don't think I'm cool, their friends do. And so, my job, of course, is to embarrass my children, like all good parents. But truthfully, it's been a remarkable journey. I mean, I actually believe that it's made us a little bit closer as a result of this. And again, we're very humbled by the opportunity to serve in this capacity.
Oh, I mean, when I think of that answer, I think of humility. He's very humble.
Fox Chicago, Scott Schneider followed up with on that answer and said, "I didn't think I could love you more until you gave me that answer. I've fallen in love with you all over again, Brandon Johnson."
He's been here since 2015 too. He should be more of a hard-hitting journalist, but apparently not.
Why? Why should he be any different than 99% of the rest of the press corps?
He came here from Youngstown, Ohio. Okay.
Good training. He
Also
should have
worked in West Virginia.
He should have gone on to be a blackjack dealer like everybody else from Youngstown. The two topics that they did tackle: migrants,
Climate change.
CPS.
Just guessing. Oh, CPS.
Migrants and CPS. Not that there was any probing questions about it. It basically just was, migrants, go. Please give me your stock answers, and that's what he did. The importance of protecting Chicago's status as a welcoming city, that's newspeak for sanctuary city.
Well, as I've said repeatedly, Chicago maintaining its status as a welcoming city is an important part of our tradition and our history. Many people know that 40 years ago that Mayor Harold Washington declared the city of Chicago to be sanctuary. And I'm grateful for that leadership, because had it not been for that movement a generation ago, we would not be positioned to be the welcoming space for families who were seeking refuge, like my family, who came up during the second migration from the South, Salis, Mississippi, and families who are coming up from Central and South America. Look, it's going to take all of us to address this humanitarian dynamic. The state, the county government, as well as the city government. Now, what I'm encouraged by is that we do have a real strong collaboration here in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, Cook County government, pushing the federal government to provide more support for families. We're going to need it.
Collaboration, support for families, invest
Do your
in
part.
kids.
Step up.
He's right about that. Former Marine Corps facility in North Park is going to be part of a shelter. It's going to be part of the shelters that are being stood up.
Yeah, same with the Best Western on Lakeshore Drive.
More
near
than
Hyde
six-
Park.
More than 1,600 men, women, and children that are on the floors of police stations right now at the airports. So you got the Marine Corps facility in North Park. You got 15 shelters in total opening across the city right now, including that Lakeshore Hotel in East Hyde Park. Yeah, so it's coming together nicely. Did not find out if Brandon Johnson is making his home a welcoming spot and allowing any migrant families to stay with him.
And where is his home, actually? Is he really living there in his home? Did they ask him about that? Did he ask about the Airbnb in Lombard? Did he ask him about that?
More, I think I'll take that as a rhetorical question.
Yes.
More on this because he wasn't done stringing cliches together when it came to
Sorry.
migrants.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
We're bringing people together. Chicago Public Schools, the Chicago Teachers Union. I don't think that's ever happened, right? And it's the same approach towards how we address migrants, bringing people together, the full force of government being on display to address this crisis. And I'm confident that the people of Chicago who have stepped up to provide mutual aid and support for these families, that the collective response will ultimately characterize us as the city that we have embraced, which is a welcoming city.
Welcoming city for people here illegally, not a welcoming city for people here legally. It's an interesting approach. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. And after that answer, a tear ran down the cheek of Scott Schneider's face. He was so moved. On improving CPS,
Yeah, where would he begin? One CTU member himself and
First,
community organizer.
First of all, I don't know if we should even accept the premise that CPS needs improvement. Secondly, if you liked his answers to Sanctuary City, then you're going to love his answer to improving CBS, because that also takes collaboration with stakeholders to provide support services for families so that every kid gets the quality education they deserve, but we need to invest in them, and so on and so forth.
And what I've said repeatedly is that bringing people together to address the needs that families have across the city of Chicago, regardless of what zip code you're in, that we have to do that. The city of Chicago deserves a system that is collaborative. And so what does that look like? And what it looks like is expanding our sustainable community schools model. But what it also entails is what I've done already, where we have an entire committee that's dedicated to special education, English language learners, full investments in our college to career programs, so that individuals, whether you are pursuing a 4-year degree or if you're pursuing an opportunity to get into the workforce through trades, that the public education system has to match all of those desires. And I'm very much committed to bringing systems together so that we can build a system of care that ultimately serves every single zip code in the city of Chicago.
Tell me when it's over.
What do we want? A system of care. When do we want it? Whenever you get around to it.
We need to work together. It needs to be a collaborative effort. Blah, blah, blah. Somewhere in there, something, I don't know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
Dave in Wakanda, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning. We went from a mayor who said she had the biggest appendage in Chicago to just having the mayor with who's just an appendage.
Not bad. Thanks for the call, Dave. The city turns out to be less welcoming to, say, the Marinos family, the owner of Belmar Wire Products in Bucktown. They are immigrants as well. They came to this welcoming city, allegedly. It's a welcoming city. Built a family-owned manufacturing firm. In December 2022, they were ambushed by a 400% property tax hike. It's not funny.
That's not sustainable.
It's comical. The tax bill, the 400% property tax hike, forced them to let half of their dedicated workforce go. We just went through COVID, closures, price increases, surges of gas, of food, insurance costs, short labor supplies, said Aliki Marinos. We feel like you're kicking us out, like you don't want us here, like you want us to fail. That's what it seems like. He said, at the end of this piece by Bryce Hill over at the City Journal, we love the city. We just need it to love us back. BLM Brandon only has so much to love to give, Mr. Marinos. Only so much love to give. There's just never enough love. If we just had a little bit more love, or just a rational, sane business environment, law enforcement, approach to law enforcement and public safety. But he is building sustainable models that invest in families per their needs and their desires to set up systems of care.
What does that even mean?
It is basically communist gobbledygook. And, get used to it, because that's what you have for the next 4 years. Somebody else made the point the other day, too. Who we're talking to? Oh, Ken Zara, right?
Yeah.
That he just wants to get through the convention next year. He's not going to do anything too crazy until he gets to the convention next year. Doesn't want upheaval, but the upheaval will come. You can bet on it.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The big guy has a new vax he wants to tell you about at 5:38.
I just got the chills where you even say that. And also that update on the White Sox, and watch Fred Waller run away from reporters. It was quite comical. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees at 5:30. This morning, all 28 vehicle assembly lines at Toyota's 14 plants in Japan have been shut down over problems in its computer system that deals with incoming auto parts. Japanese automaker says it doesn't believe the problem was caused by a cyber attack, The cause is under investigation. There are reports that the Japanese automaker may have suffered a cyber attack. Idalia has now reached hurricane status. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis indicates officials are trying to get ahead of the Gulf storm.
We are coordinating, as I mentioned, with utility companies. There are already more than 20,000 linemen that are ready to respond, and more on the way throughout the balance of today and tomorrow. This will be an important effort to get power back on very quickly.
National Hurricane Center says the Category 1 storm, packing maximum sustained winds of 75 miles an hour right now, headed toward Florida. Luke Strickland is with Florida Emergency Management.
We are preparing the best we can. We have personnel all through the state ready to respond to the storm.
Forecasters expect Idalia to continue gaining strength, landfall sometime on Wednesday. One faculty member at the University of North Carolina is dead after a shooting on campus on Monday.
This loss is devastating. Trust and safety that we so often take for granted in our campus community.
Police say they have a suspect in custody but are not releasing a name or possible charges at the moment.
People started coming in the bathroom and they were like, there's an active shooter on campus. So immediately we all just stayed hiding in the stalls, squatting on the toilets, just scared. We didn't know what was happening.
Earlier reports indicate the shooter was a grad student. Classes are canceled today. Former President Donald Trump's federal 2020 election interference case will begin in the middle of the Republican presidential primaries. The Obama-appointed judge on Monday scheduled a trial start date of March 4, 2024, the day before Super Tuesday. There will likely be an appeal. The Department of Transportation hitting American Airlines in the wallet hard. The largest ever fine for keeping passengers waiting on the tarmac. The airline facing a $4 million fine plus for long delays with passengers on board airplanes on 43 flights. Chicago police revealing more detail about the shooting at a White Sox game last Friday. Interim Police Superintendent Fred Waller saying the incident most likely involved a gun going off inside Guaranteed Rate Field. Father of the Highland Park July 4th shooting suspect will stand trial. A Lake County judge rejecting a request to dismiss charges against Robert Cremo Jr. Defense attorney George Gomez
did nothing wrong, and we're going to maintain that position from here forward.
Father is facing charges stemming from allegations he helped his son get a firearm owner identification card. Lake County prosecutor Eric Reinhardt.
The reckless conduct statute says don't do dangerous things that cause injury or that risk others.
Father has a November trial date. Cubs gave up 4 runs in the top of the first en route to a 6-2 loss to the Brew Crew at Wrigley Field. White Sox were unable to figure out Grayson Rodriguez in a 9-0 loss to the Orioles at Camden Yards. The news a service of the Pride stores with 17 locations throughout Chicagoland that include Taco Urbano or Urban Counter restaurants. Stop by their newest location, the Pride of Kane County in St. Charles on the corner of Kirk and Main. The Pride stores, not your typical convenience store. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
If you listen to the mainstream media and the Democrats, you'd think it was a sin to be black and conservative. Well, John Anthony blows up that perception every week on Black and Right. Join John this Saturday afternoon at 4 when he pushes back against the left and its regressive, progressive agenda that tries to dictate how people should think or feel about politics. Listen to Black and Right this Saturday afternoon at 4 right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Rick here from Forever Remodeling. You probably heard me talk about how our unique design-build process removes the normal problems of hiring a design and construction company separately. But just don't take my word for it. Listen to these customer reviews. Kelly W. says, from consultation to design to construction, my remodel flowed seamlessly. Adity J says, we were thrilled to have a full-service remodeling firm take all the guesswork out of our project. And Caesar V says, Forever Remodeling made what could have been a very stressful project extremely easy for us. They finished on time and did amazing work. Kitchens, bathrooms, basements, additions, whole house remodeling, whatever you need, our start to finish process delivers stunning results without the hassles, headaches, and stress. For a free consultation, call Forever Remodeling at 847-809-3355 or visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number foreverremodeling.com.
If your money is not earning at least 5.25% tax deferred, you need to call Professional Life and Casualty. They're offering a 5.25% APY on new funds deposited into your annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA accounts. Rate subject to change. Please call to confirm. With Professional Life and Casualty, you pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Professional Life and Casualty has been providing insurance and annuity products for over 60 years. Visit plcinsurance.com. plcinsurance.com. They'll send you a free guide to tax-deferred, no-fee annuity. Earn 5.25% APY on annuity, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA. Pay no surrender charges, no administrative fees, and no withdrawal fees. Only from Professional Life and Casualty. Call 1-800-651-1800. That's 1-800-651-1800.
Hi, it's Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about your unused basement rec rooms. We all had them back in the 60s and 70s with jukeboxes, pinballs, and slot machines, Coca-Cola signs, and even gas pumps. We all had a great time in those days, but fast forward, and I'll bet you haven't gone down there in years. That's where I can help by turning those items into cash through Donnelly Auctions. We have thousands of customers online eager to bid on your items, and it's easier than you might think. Just give me a call at 815-923-7000, and I'll make those items fit in your wallet. Look us up online at DonnellyAuctions.com to see all of the items that we can sell for you. Give me a call today at 815-923-7000, and don't forget to check out the Donnelly Auctions Hour Saturdays at 1 o'clock on AM 560. Subscribe and check out the podcast too. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
O'Reilly Auto Parts Loaner Tool Program has more than 80 specialty loaner tools available to help you with your next repair. Refundable deposit required. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
5:38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start in Harvey, where an accident has been reported this morning at 147th and Halstead. 8094, watch out for an accident, overturned vehicle blocking a left-hand lane. There's a semi and another car involved and the driver fled that scene, so there's a police search going on. This is eastbound 8094 between Klein and Grant this morning. Dan Ryan express lanes jammed up inbound 35th into the Chinatown feeder, and the Ike inbound already showing brake lights from the between the Burn Circle on the and the old post office this morning as you head into downtown. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun with a brief shower around midday in the forecast. High 82. The moon returns overnight. Another beautiful evening. Low 59. 71 tomorrow. 79 Thursday. Nice Friday ahead, sunny and warm, 86 for the long Labor Day weekend. Saturday hot, high 91. 65 right now. Next news coming up at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The big guy's got a new vaccine in the works, and he's going to recommend everyone get it. That's what he said yesterday. Take a listen.
Uptick of COVID cases, a new variant?
Yes, I can. Matter of fact, I signed off this morning on a proposal we have to present to the Congress a request for additional funding for new vaccine that is necessary, that works. And tentatively, not decided finally yet, tentatively it is recommended that, or would likely be recommended that everybody get it, no matter whether they got it before or not.
Tentatively, it will likely be recommended for everyone. That means the vaccine mandates may be coming back. Likely to be coming back.
Please don't even say that. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Yeah, it's going to come back in about, this new vaccine, they said wait till mid to late September.
Can't wait.
Well, because
excited.
This is going to get the new variant, which is B2.84.
Yeah, okay.
Vaccine
manufacturers, this is Thomas Massey from Kentucky, a representative. Vaccine manufacturer, MIT. No, a little bit of a science background.
MIT.
Vaccine manufacturers have enjoyed record-breaking profits with zero liability, but now Joe Biden wants Congress to give them more of your money for a new jab he says everyone should take. Hell no, Joe. What say you? Here's, in case you didn't quite get the full understanding of this wonderful development that is afoot. KJP, the White House spokeswoman, did some Biden-splaining best she could.
This administration, when it comes to informing the American people about these vaccines, about the different tools that this president and this administration has put forward, we have really put informing Americans as a priority. And so we'll continue to do that. We know that COVID-19 vaccinations are the safest protection for avoiding hospitalization, long-term health outcomes, and death. And that is why we are going to continue to encourage Americans to stay up to date on their vaccines. And so you'll hear more from us on that. And as you know, that is something when it comes to informing Americans, American families about about the vaccine. We certainly have been really something that we put at the forefront as we move forward with our comprehensive approach to dealing with this pandemic.
Dealing with this pandemic? Did you just say?
Who's rhetoric? Yeah, the pandemic's back. Yeah,
I thought it's it's pandemic now.
Well, the pandemic's back. I mean, this is why we have to have masks and new vaccines, new boosters. By the way, whose rhetoric do you find more mind-numbing, KJP or BLM Brandon? Because honestly, it's pretty much the same, regardless of the topic. Yeah, you're right, KJP. The regime has done a great job communicating to the American people. You shall do this. You can't go there. Yeah, no, it's been very clear. Thank you. Helpful. Has it been right? Oh, well, yeah, of course it has, because we said so. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, Dan, I'm going to be like Kamala during the Trump administration. She wouldn't take anything that came out of any vaccines that came out of his administration. I wouldn't touch anything that came out of these two.
Thanks for the call, George.
It's just it's just in time for the election, don't you think? Ramping things up so we can do mail-in ballots again. Because I don't know. There's got to be some reason they want to control you. We don't have freedom of choice anymore.
I mean, just a couple of...
My body, my choice, right?
Just a couple of data points on this. I mean, I know the science and the data doesn't really matter. It's just something that people say. People, at least in positions of decision-making in places like Washington, D.C. Again, Dr. Joel Zinberg. Nearly everyone in the country has some degree of immunity to COVID-19 that will protect them against severe disease and mortality. And by the way, you heard from KJP, they're no longer chirping about preventing the spread, preventing serious disease and mortality. Well, everyone's already there. Blood bank data show that as of September of last year, 96% of people 16 and older have immunity resulting from vaccination, infections, or both. So you would expect a year later, we're getting to the point where it's as close to 100% as perhaps you're going to get. Moreover, writes Dr. Zinberg, many of the revised mandates are now directed at low-risk populations. School-age children, 5 to 14, accounted for less than 0.1% of total COVID-19 deaths. High school and university ages 15 to 24 were 1/4 of 1%.
Oh, God. I mean, please.
And then on the mask issue, as if we didn't know this, there's little evidence that masking works either for students or teachers. In Sweden, which kept schools open, Without mask mandates, no increase in childhood cases, and teachers had no increased risk of severe COVID-19 infection compared to other occupations. Oh, it's actually on the mask piece, it's actually a lot worse than that. A really nice write-up from our friend John Tierney over at City Journal, talking about the maskaholics being back from Hollywood to your local school district. It's tempting to compare these maskaholics with the villagers in Cambodia who erected scarecrows in front of their huts to ward off the coronavirus, but that's not fair to the villagers. Zing. He goes through, these science in terms of the negative impact of masks, which isn't talked about enough, even by us. He points out that this is why mask mandates are limited with respect to existing OSHA regulations for workers' mask usage. Dozens of studies have demonstrated mask-induced exhaustion syndrome, whose symptoms include an increase in carbon dioxide in the blood, difficulty breathing, dizziness, drowsiness, headache, diminished ability to concentrate and think. It's no surprise that during the pandemic, when adverse effects of masks were reported in a study of healthcare workers in New York City, more than 70% of the workers said that prolonged mask wearing gave them headaches, and nearly a quarter blamed it for impaired cognition. We also know this. A possibly toxic effect of prolonged mask wearing, particularly for pregnant women, children, and adolescents, was identified in a review of scientific literature published by German researchers this year. While 8 times the normal level of carbon dioxide is toxic, 8 times, research suggests mask wearers who wear masks for more than 5 minutes at a time are breathing 35 to 80 times normal levels of carbon dioxide. And the science goes on and on and on. German researchers linked elevated carbon dioxide levels with stillbirths. The U.S. Navy began limiting the level of carbon dioxide on its submarines when female crews began serving. Researchers warn that this level of carbon dioxide is often exceeded when wearing a mask, especially the vaunted N95. John Tierney writes, no drug with all these potential side effects would be recommended, much less mandated for the entire population, and a drug that flunked its clinical trials wouldn't even be submitted for approval, yet here we are, again.
In Lee County, Kentucky, they shut down school last week. 900 students throughout the district, 140 were sick. So they shut it down Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they went to remote learning on Thursday and Friday. You want to start this crap again? Because I don't.
And what is the newly minted CDC director, Dr. Mandy Cohen, focused on? Abortion. I'm so disappointed we're here that we're having to have a conversation to revisit whether or not women should have access to health care when they need it. I'm a mom of 2 daughters. I'm going to continue to working to make sure women have access to care when they need it. This is a new speak for abortion. And that they have medical treatment when they need it, and so on and so forth. This is what she's talking about. This is just the sort of patois you get, much like you'd get from KJP. It's all sanitized and euphemized
well, we just
for
have
your
to stand together
easy
this
consumption.
Time. No, we just have to stand together and just say no this time. Don't let it do it to us.
Yeah. Good luck with that in Chicago.
I met somebody who's been jabbed 8 times. She gets jabbed every 6 months.
Right.
And she's just waiting for this new one to come out.
So why don't you go convert her and let us know how that goes?
Well, I just let her tell her.
Why don't you just focus on your block and report back and see how effective you are. Carl in Marionette Park.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy, and thank you again for taking my call. I love getting up and listening to you and Amy in the morning. My question is about KGP and Biden. If they're so concerned about the American people getting all these jabs, what about the invasion? All these people coming across from the borders. Nothing's good about them. That's my comment.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah,
No, they don't have. Yeah, thanks for the call, Carl. Yeah, no. You have to enroll migrant students, and you heard Brandon Johnson before the news.
We need people.
Talking about this exciting phase that we're entering into with the shelters and schools and so forth. Do they have to present any identification information and vaccination information that residents of Chicago, those families, have to present? No. Same thing in New York. No. Is there a vaccine mandate for them? No. Doesn't seem to be. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Always good talking to you. You hit some of the talking points about masks, but there's the one that you missed. I just saw a study that the N95 mask can cause cancer. Apparently, the toxins in the plastics can be breathed in, and now we have another negativity in terms of not wearing masks. And one other one I saw being tweeted, we should call this new virus not COVID-19 or whatever the Q or whatever the numbers are. We call it the election virus. It seems to surface now whenever we have an election to
Right.
scare the voters.
Thanks, Bob.
People want to live in fear, and people want to be controlled. It's so strange to me. So they're so fearful. Like, well, it's coming. I remember a lady was doing my hair for that event we did, the watch party. She's like, well, that's going to be a super spreading event. I said, what? Look at the numbers. We're not even scratching this. So you know somebody who has COVID. Mask up, lock down. No, live your life. They're not even in the hospital.
So how you doing with persuading your hairdresser?
I'm not getting anywhere. And by the way,
Right.
since I tried to have a block party in 2022, I'm no longer in charge of the block party. I've been completely shut out.
Well,
They're
there is
having one without me this or next 2 Saturdays.
Well, there is this psychological profile that we talked to Theodore Dalrymple about way back when, called frisson, which is that people, as you say, enjoy the fear because it's a moment where they can pretend to be overcoming something. And so it gives them a sense of purpose and identity, a cause. There's a lot of very small-minded people out there. And this is something we're overcoming together. This is a real accomplishment. We're going to beat back COVID. We're going to live. We're going to survive. The threat is not real, but it doesn't matter. It's the same thing with the climate apocalypse business, the eco-supremacists. It's with those nutcases out at the trying to
Nevada
to block traffic going into Burning Man. It's the same dynamic.
Oh, I loved how that sheriff's deputy just ran over that blockade.
Greg in Schaumburg.
Morning, Dan and Amy. You two are really good at predicting the future. So within the aggregate of all of these quick things, what's going to be the tipping point next year? The Trump trials, back to back, including on Super Tuesday, the mandatory vaccine, a possible depression, recession, ceiling fans, gas stoves, cars, electric cars, or the ability to only drink 2 beers per week.
It's the last one. Yeah.
They better not take that away.
I
I want to bring you this little gem because to illustrate how much our politicians enjoyed the lockdowns, even when the science and the data was telling them different. This is Mayor Lightfoot with Sean Penn standing behind her.
Question from Amy Jacobson at WIND Radio. Governor Cuomo opened the marinas. The governor of New Jersey opened their boardwalk and beaches. What is the science behind holding our lakefront from the taxpayers of this city?
The science is that gathering in large groups, as we saw in the lakefront, is a breeding ground for spreading the virus and potentially death. And Amy, if you want to educate yourself about what the specifics are, please either go to our daily briefings at 11 a.m. Or avail yourself of the data that's on the website. Do that rather than whipping up a frenzy based upon things that are said that are completely untethered from the facts. That's not helpful.
It turns out that triple threat is wrong. The Lancet, the British Medical Journal, compared COVID outcomes in 50 states with varying policy responses. It found that a state's cumulative rates of infection and mortality were not significantly related to restrictions on public gatherings, to stay-at-home orders, to closures of primary schools, colleges, restaurants, bars, or gyms. The political affiliation of the state's governor made no difference. And in point, in fact, the verdict going back to mask mandates, especially grim. The mandate had no significant impact on cumulative COVID infections or mortality, but but it did correlate with one statistically significant event, a decline in the test scores of fourth graders. Congratulations. Frank in Arlington Heights.
You are so good. That's James Coburn. Back in Affliction. It wasn't that good this morning, but
Affliction
that's what he said.
That's a great movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. It was. But yeah, here's the question I have regarding, all this standing up to these people in these cities like Chicago and New York, where, especially in New York, there seems to be some pushback against all of the sanctuary issues and all that stuff. And the question is, even if the people are against all this, is the election system in some of these jurisdictions, is it fair enough to, allow them to change it? I do not believe that in some of these places that they're secure enough. I don't. That they're fair. I have no faith, as a lot of Americans don't, in some of this.
Thanks for the call, Frank. By the way, Greg in Schaumburg, he was referencing Biden's alcohol czar. Yeah, got one of those
Don't
too.
you kidding? Who's the alcohol czar?
Dr. George Koob, who I hear is very good. Yes, we may
saw him drunk at the bar the other day.
While we're recommended to take a booster, we're also going to be recommended only 2 drinks a week, fellas.
What?
2 drinks a week. Yeah.
From the beer czar?
Since the 1990s, the U.S. has recommended women limit to 1 drink per day.
Blah, blah.
Don't tell that to all those suburban wine moms. And men to 2 drinks per day. I don't think that's been followed religiously, but yeah, George Koob is going to recommend 2 beers a week.
Can we try to get him on the show?
I think it's easy. I can do 2 drinks a week. They're just going to be. It's just the size of the container. It's going to be a barrel of vodka rather than a glass tumbler.
Oh my God.
Ken in Plainfield.
Whew, I didn't know we had an alcohol czar.
Yeah, I would just like all these. I would just like all these jab and mask people to explain to me how I'm still alive. I'm fat, diabetic, got COVID a month before I had quadruple bypass, yet somehow I'm still here.
You're like
Steven, dead, according to them.
You're like Steven Seagal, Ken. You're hard to kill.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you want your child to come back from school hating God, America, and you? If the answer is no, the solution is St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard. I am the man, Cal. Look, I'm a Christian guy with 2 daughters out in this world, and it can get very scary. St. John's Lutheran School Lombard is the only school in all of Illinois that offers the Hillsdale College curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a game changer, a nurturing environment with a Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking that teaches kids to think for themselves, not what to think. What a great thing to do for your child or grandchild. Strong academics with the Hillsdale curriculum and strong character. Go to stjohnslombard.com. That's Saint, S-T, johnslombard.com. stjohnslombard.com. It's in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, and all places nearby. stjohnslombard.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
That was man cow. The cow is now. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's come a long way from bits with turd to promoting St. John's Lutheran and their Hillsdale K-8 curriculum.
Hey, good for him.
He's all grown up now. I love it. No, it's good.
All right, coming up on this show.
On this show, trial date set for the Trump federal charges related to January 6th. We'll start there at 6:06.
But now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Fire destroys homes in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. Rough first inning dooms the Cubs. Clouds and sun in your forecast. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
A major storm is headed straight for Florida. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Idalia's at hurricane strength now, expected to make landfall on Florida's west coast tomorrow and affect much of the central part of the state.
Evacuations are ordered in coastal zones both north and south of Tampa Bay. Kathy Perkins is the emergency manager for Pinellas County, including St. Petersburg and Clearwater.
Again, we have a lot of inland areas, a lot of hotels, friends and family that you can stay with here locally.
Schools are closed in many of those coastal counties. School buses in some communities are being used to help evacuate needy neighbors. Tampa International Airport shut down overnight and won't reopen until after the storm passes. In Broward County, Florida, Evan Brown, Fox News.
That storm could approach the Carolina coast on Thursday. The first of former President Trump's 18 co-defendants to enter a plea in the Georgia election conspiracy case, Ray Smith, pleads not guilty to the 12 charges against him. He was an attorney for Trump's 2020 campaign in Georgia. Police in Washington, D.C. say a fight ending with a teenage girl dead was over McDonald's dipping sauce.
The 16-year-old stabbed to death outside the fast food restaurant. Cops say her killer also a 16-year-old girl. The fight over sweet and sour sauce used for dipping McNuggets. The dead girl stuck in the chest with a 7.5-inch long pocket knife. Rushed to a hospital where she died. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Classes and events are canceled at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill because of yesterday's fatal shooting of a faculty member on campus.
The suspect was eventually apprehended and is now in custody.
UNC Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz, there was a campus lockdown for 3 hours. Police have not publicly identified the suspect or the victim or what any relationship between them may have been. They say that the gun in the shooting is still missing. Dow futures essentially flat ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. America's listening to Fox News.
65 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police revealing a few more details about the shooting at Sox Park last Friday. Interim police superintendent Fred Waller saying the incident was most likely involved a gun going off inside Guaranteed Rate Field. Waller adding that CPD did initially request the game be halted after the shooting, but eventually allowed it to continue. The father of the Highland Park July 4 shooting suspect will stand trial. A Lake County judge rejecting a request to dismiss charges against Robert Cremo Jr. Defense attorney George Gomez
did nothing wrong, and we're going to maintain that position from here forward.
The father's facing charges stemming from allegations he helped his son get a firearm owner identification card. Lake County prosecutor Eric Reinhardt.
When Mr. Cremo signed the form that enabled his son to get a weapon, he also had intimate knowledge about his son's specific circumstances. A dangerous mix that would have stopped any responsible parent from proceeding.
Prosecutors still face an uphill battle proving their case against the father. Robert Cremo III faces numerous charges, accusing him of killing 7 and wounding dozens more at the Highland Park Parade, July 4 of last year. Several families are picking up the pieces after fire-damaged homes in the city's Chicago Lawn neighborhood Monday afternoon. A large firefighter presence battled the flames, which broke out in a vacant home and spread to several nearby homes.
We're able to contain the fire to the building in the middle, which obviously is a total loss, but we're able to save the building to the north and to the south.
No cause for the fire has been given. The search is on for suspects after a TV news crew was robbed at gunpoint in the Westtown neighborhood. The reporter and photographer for Univision Chicago were reporting yesterday morning. Authorities say the robbers took items from the victim's SUV and drove off. Cubs lost to the Brew Crew at Wrigley Field 6-2, so the Cubs trail Milwaukee by 5 games now in the NL Central race. White Sox lost to Baltimore 9-0. The Bears add some offensive line depth. Bears have acquired interior lineman Dan Feeney from the Dolphins. Feeney started every game for the Chargers while there between 2018 and 2020. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan on Saturday, September 9th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
A
great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Did you know we celebrate baby boomers in August? It's true. August 17th to be exact. That's the same time this generation was at Woodstock in 1969, meaning a lot of babies were born in 1970 early on. Did you know that millions of baby boomers are at risk for stroke, heart disease, and other chronic illnesses caused by high blood pressure? I have a suggestion for all my baby boomer listeners out there. 120 Life. It's a natural juice drink that helps control blood pressure. With natural ingredients like cherry, cranberry, and pomegranate juice, 120 Life helps lower blood pressure and will help you stay hydrated. You'll feel good drinking it just like I do. I love this stuff. So go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Order a 2-week trial pack. Use coupon code LIBERTY at checkout. You save the 15% plus free shipping. If after 2 weeks you don't see a difference in the numbers, contact 120 Life and they give you your money back. It's guaranteed. It's simple. Better numbers, better life. Try 120 Life today. 120life.com. I love this stuff. Order it now. 120life.com. 120life.com. Use coupon code LIBERTY.
It is 6:08. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Fox Valley Coins, currently buying all gold and silver bars, coins, silver dollars, rare date, proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. Do want to tell you that after yesterday's derailment, Metro traffic on the Rock Island line this morning appears to be completely and totally back to normal, but we'll keep our eyes on that. We're watching the inbound Kennedy jam up right now. 38 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. And the outbound Kennedy slows up as you travel as well. Slow traffic between Manheim and Ridgeland right now on the Ike. That's leading to a 49-minute trip from 390 into the old post office. Accident reported on the outbound Ike between Harlem and Des Plaines Avenue. Stevenson 42 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and the Ryan itself at 14 minutes 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and some sun, a brief shower around the midday today. Look for a high of 82. Clear tonight, low 59. Sun and patchy clouds, a breezy day tomorrow, the high 71. Sunshine, a terrific day on Thursday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
65 and partly cloudy at O'Hare. Next news 6:30. Breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Judge Tanya Chutkin has set a date for Trump's federal trial. The charges he faces in connection with January 6th, depriving Americans of their franchise and so forth. March 4th, so the eve of Super Tuesday, where 12 states will vote on the presidential race and other races.
He's going to be busy because he has the Stormy Daniels hush money case in March of 2024 as well.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, these dates are not set in stone. And pretrial, I suspect there's a lot more wrangling to be done, pretrial motions and the like, because Trump's lawyers asked for a date in April of 2026. So there's some space between the perspectives on how long it's going to take to be prepared for trial.
This is so obviously political that they want to get him, the Monday before Super Tuesday.
No.
They're not letting him, be a candidate.
My primary concern here, said District Court Judge Tanya Chutkin, the interest of justice.
Oh.
Of course it is.
So October 2nd, he's got the business fraud case. January 2024, the January 6th case, and the Stormy Daniels one. May 2024, the federal case, the documents case, and the Georgia election interference case.
January 24, he doesn't have the January 6th case.
I'm sorry, it's in March.
March 4th.
Yes, they changed it.
But none of that matters because they've got another plan, even if Trump were not to be imprisoned before the election, even if Trump were to win the election. You may have noticed they have resuscitated the he is not qualified to run for election per the 14th Amendment, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies a public official that engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the United States. And they're arguing that there is no congressional action required to decree January 6th an insurrection, a rebellion against the United States.
But he wasn't charged
that it
with
is.
insurrection.
I'll get to that. That is, the clause is self-executing. Self-executing. And so the given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof is the clause they'll hang their hat on because he wasn't charged with inciting a riot or a treasonous rebellion. Byron York, writing over at the Washington Examiner about this and about the law professors who are trying to make the case for Trump's removal. Larry Tribe, for example, from Harvard. He suggests, as others, that, for example, Chris Christie, since he's a Trump antagonist, could argue that he's legally injured by Trump's presence on the ballot because Trump is taking votes away from Chris Christie illegitimately because he shouldn't be a candidate. And he should sue to have Trump removed or at least first ask a Secretary of State to remove Trump from the ballot. I mean, now, so that he will not be on primary ballots. So this is afoot right now. And we're going to see if Chris Christie takes up that charge or somebody else does who's a Trump antagonist. We're going to talk to Will Hurd, the former Texas congressman, in the 8 o'clock hour. He's a candidate for president. He's a Trump antagonist. We'll see what
Maybe he'll do it.
See what he thinks about this. But give you an example of what I'm talking about and what they're talking about. No less than Jamie Raskin, that Stephen Van Zandt impersonator from Maryland, who is one of the impeachment managers for the House Dem Socialists, is the ranking member on the House Oversight Committee. He's the, gnawing at Jim Comer's knees there as he tries to pursue this investigation of Biden Incorporated. Here's what the good Representative Raskin had to say about Trump's disqualification from even running and thus holding office. Right now, he's got to be gone.
Well, absolutely. And we've been saying all along that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment presents a clear and unequivocal statement that anyone who has sworn an oath of office, and by the way, not just a president, but members of Congress and others who hold federal office, who engage in insurrection or rebellion, having sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic, can never serve again in federal or state office. And this was added after the Civil War as a general constitutional principle, and we have to abide by it. Donald Trump was impeached by the House of Representatives for inciting an insurrection against the Union, and then 57 of 100 senators determined as a constitutional fact that Donald Trump had incited an insurrection. So I think you've got robust bicameral, bipartisan majorities that have already established this as a fact. And I agree with the conservative Federalist Society law professors who are out there saying, as well as Mr. Hutchinson, that Donald Trump is disqualified just as if he were running and not a born U.S. citizen, or if he were running and he were 24 years old.
By the way, it's 35, not 25. Constitutional scholar Jamie Raskin, as he was introduced by Dana Bash on CNN. This was Sunday that he said that he's disqualified. And by the way, Asa Hutchinson, who was just referenced, might be somebody else that will pursue legal action to have Trump stricken from the ballot. How would you react if you have some states start secretaries of states in blue states in particular,
Georgia,
start striking Trump from the ballot under this theory? I mean, it would immediately be challenged legally. It would be stayed. It would go to the Supreme Court, most likely. But this is, and maybe they hold off. I mean, obviously Republican candidates for president, even though Trump in the race or not in the race, Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson aren't going anywhere. But so they have incentive, but how much incentive do they really? Are they really running for president? Or are they running for something else? So maybe like a Raskin and the Democrats, socialists, they keep this in their back pocket and see how the election plays out. Trump being the nominee up against Biden or whoever. I think more likely than not Biden. I know some disagree. And then they make a 14th Amendment Section 3 play to disqualify him from taking office after the fact. How do those scenarios suit you? Fun, isn't it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. This is the brave new world in America where the constitutional provisions on any topic can be bastardized to serve immediate political interests with no consideration for the country's no consideration for the original intent, no consideration for the country's well-being, and no consideration for what this unleashes, these precedents that are being set. None at all, because it's power now, and as much of it as we can grab. And Raskin is not wrong to say conservative jurists who also support this position. Michael Luttig is a former federal district court judge. He was actually a shortlister for Supreme Court under George W. Bush. He's a guy I otherwise respect, but I completely disagree with him here, but he's making the same argument. Take a listen.
So the question is not whether the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment applies to the former president. It unquestionably does. The questions that the Supreme Court must decide eventually are rather more technical constitutional questions. For instance, whether the clause is self-executing and whether which particular officials are in a position to challenge the qualification of the former president. But in terms of the process is quite clear. I believe to a certainty that there will be secretaries of states in several of the states who will decline to place the former president on the ballot, arguing that he is unqualified by virtue of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Whether that official or those officials qualify the president, former president, or they disqualify him, that decision will be immediately challenged in state or federal court by a person with standing to challenge it. It would certainly include the former president. And from that moment on, this will be a matter destined for the Supreme Court of the United States, and the Supreme Court will be obliged to decide this monumentally important case before the 2024 election.
That's possible. I mean, think about it right here in Illinois. Can you see a Mimbo like Ali G, doing his duty to strike Trump from the primary ballot, from the general ballot?
Oh, yeah, but the left would hold him as a hero here in this state.
Well, I understand. And the state's irrelevant.
His part.
And the state's irrelevant, so go ahead and strip him off. I mean, I would, if I'm Trump, go ahead. Go ahead. Show us who you are. Show us how afraid of your own constituents you are. Maybe not in Illinois, but just the left's posture towards the American people generally. You don't trust all of this. You got 4 different jurisdictions trying to put me in prison, and you still are concerned that the people aren't getting the message, that they're not being properly docile, that they are not standing down. And so this is your latest play, is you don't even get the option of voting for this guy. We're going full communist here. Bill in LaSalle County, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan. The first mistake you made was not referring to Congressman Raskin as a communist, because obviously his dad was a true commie. But they're going to go after Wisconsin, and they're going to go after swing states first, and especially Wisconsin, because the crazy Democrats, commie Democrats in Wisconsin just took complete control over the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's right. But it's not a state Supreme Court. It won't. Thanks for the call, Bill. This is if a Secretary of State does this, as you heard from Judge Ludwig, this is going to the Supreme Court and fast.
Right.
That'll happen.
But it's just another legal hurdle for Trump to get through.
Yeah,
he's got enough on his plate as it is. My God.
And remember the arguments here. The argument is, aiding and abetting an insurrection. So first you have to declare it an insurrection, or make the case it was. And then you have to make a determination that Donald Trump aided and abetted. By the way, he's been charged, you could argue, with aiding and abetting, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. These are the Jan 6 charges. Conspiracy against rights, conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. These are the multiple counts he's facing. So you make that argument. But it'd be fascinating, they're talking about it now and they're trying to get him to trial now because he's only been charged. They sometimes forget and then catch themselves. You actually have to be convicted of these crimes, I think, to make out any sort of case along the lines they're attempting to do. But as you heard from Jamie Raskin, we impeached him. We impeached him on this basis. We so decreed it was an insurrection. We had a January 6th commission where all the members decreed it's an insurrection, so it's an insurrection. Well, we'll see what the Supreme Court has to say if Secretaries of State want to take that argument and run with it. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and I was thinking about what Raskin said as far as, 57 senators voted on it. So if 11 people in a jury vote on somebody's being guilty, then they would be guilty, I think. And it's clear that, to have Trump on the ballot so people can vote for him is a threat to democracy. I mean, it seems pretty clear.
Right,
so
exactly.
Let's just circumvent democracy and just, to get away from that.
Yeah, you have to preserve democracy by, it's like the thought experiment in the New York Times we talked about last week. The problem with democracy are these pesky elections. This representative Republican form of government, we need to go to sortition. These people making these sorts of decisions, they're just not in any position to do so. We'll provide a pool of pre-approved candidates from which we'll randomly draw. as opposed to, you get to make these choices. It's just so messy and inconvenient.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Mike Gallagher. Sign up today for an unforgettable experience in Israel this October. Dennis Prager and I are traveling to the Holy Land on the Stand With Israel tour with our trusted partner, Inspiration Cruises and Tours. This is a trip of a lifetime. You don't want to miss it. Register today before it's too late. Visit standwithisraeltour.com, standwithisraeltour.com, or call 855-565-5519, 855-565-5519. And together, let's stand with Israel.
All right. Another satisfied Balance of Nature customer came and found me yesterday at the gym and said, I'm still doing it. My hair feels great. My nails are thicker. Skin looks great. If I didn't just mention that, which I think I did. And she attributes it to Balance of Nature because she wasn't getting enough fruits and veggies on her own, and that's where Balance of Nature came in. It's 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition. So get the nutrition your body craves and get the nutrition your body needs. Get your health back. Be proactive. Do something for yourself. 800-246-8751 is the number to call. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. But be sure to use discount code Chicago.
When this is the sound of a waterfall in nature, there's no cause for concern. But when it's the sound of water gushing through your living room ceiling because a pipe bursts inside the wall, there's reason to panic unless you pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-SERVPRO at the first sign of water damage. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What? Aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Best for being better, Permaseal.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
Hey, let me tell you about our age analysis assessment. It takes just a few seconds to scan for those advanced glycated end products that cause premature aging. And then we'll briefly go over your results and give you a few things for you to do to improve. And then we'll retest you in about 60 days. And you'll pay our special low price for your first assessment, and I'll pay for your second one. That's right, your follow-up age analysis assessment is on me. And we're going to compare your biologic age with your chronologic age, and then we're going to help you determine if your biologic age is on par with your chronologic age. But you got to make that call today, not tomorrow, but today. It's our Health Quest radio hotline, 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855. Second assessment free if you make that call right now. 800-794-1855. It's Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, I'm so excited.
At 6:36, we're going to continue this conversation with Julie Kelly, Chief of Declassified, that's her Substack, and also now Real Clear Investigations. Talk about Trump's trial. Also, on the other side of the house, more new information about the Biden Incorporated operation that deserves some review. You'll get it at 6:36.
And what really happened at the cell? We find out that one of the victims is a Chicago public school teacher. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees at 6:32. Idalia is on the march, now at hurricane strength.
We are coordinating, as I mentioned, with utility companies. There are already more than 20,000 linemen that are ready to respond, and more on the way throughout the balance of today and tomorrow. This will be an important effort to get power back on very quickly.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the National Hurricane Center, says the Category 1 storm is packing sustained winds right now of 75 miles an hour, making its way toward the Florida Gulf Coast. Former President Donald Trump will be arraigned in his Georgia election interference case next week. Fulton County Superior Court judge scheduled arraignment for September 6. Meantime, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows testified in court Monday in a bid to move his Georgia case to federal court. His lawyers argue that performing duties as a federal officer protects Meadows from state-level criminal charges. One faculty member at the University of North Carolina is dead after a shooting on campus Monday. Police say they have a suspect in custody but are not releasing a name or possible charges. Chief of the UNC Police Department is Brian James.
We do have the suspect in custody from today's active assailant incident.
Earlier reports indicate the shooter was a grad student. A 200-year-old West Point time capsule opened up on Monday. It turned out to be a bit of a bust. The small lead box was found in May at the base of an 1829 monument. It was met with great fanfare. What could be in it? Medals, money, musket balls? As it turned out, nothing but dirt. Chicago police are revealing more details about the shooting at a White Sox game last Friday. Interim Chicago Police Superintendent Fred Waller says now the incident most likely involved a gun going off inside Guaranteed Rate Field. A man convicted of the murder in 2011, a shooting death of an off-duty Chicago police officer, Clifton Lewis, has been sentenced to life in prison. Alexander Villa received the sentence yesterday, nearly 4 years after his conviction. Several families are picking up the pieces after fire-damaged homes in the city's Chicago Lawn neighborhood Monday afternoon. The large firefighter presence happened as crews battled a single home fire that broke out in a vacant home and then spread to several nearby homes.
We're able to contain the fire to the building in the middle, which obviously is a total loss, but we're able to save the building to the north and to the south.
No cause for the fire has been given. A 28-year-old former Illinois resident and Belleville-Althoff Catholic High School graduate was one of the 3 U.S. Marines killed in the crash of that hybrid military aircraft Sunday in Australia. Captain Eleanor Cook, formerly LeBeau, was one of 2 pilots, according to her mother, who resides in the Metro East. Cook attended Murray State University in Kentucky. She joined the Marine Corps in 2018 and married Chase Cook, also a Marine pilot. He was not in Australia. Cubs gave up 4 runs in the top of the first en route to a 6-2 loss to the Brew Crew. White Sox lost to the Orioles 9-0. The news a service of MyPillow. MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet provides that soft feel that you look for in a towel. For a limited time, get 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees more phony charges.
It is said that Lavrenti Beria, the founder of the KGB, his motto was, "Show me the man, and I will find you the crime." We have arrived at that point in America. President Trump solicited actions to guarantee that the 2020 elections were fair. That was his crime.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
You know, when you're not eating anything, you're not getting any nutrition. It really took a toll on my health. Balance of Nature is upping my nutrition and just making me healthier. And my energy is good with it, so I like it.
At 64 years old, I know I eat terribly. So with the Balance of Nature, I do feel better because, you know, as you get older, you start to get a little slower, a little more tired. And at my age now, I'm bouncing around on ladders. The product is fantastic.
Go to balanceofnature.com. And for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hi folks, Sebastian Gorka here. Are you worried about investing in the stock market, especially with Joe Biden in office? Do you really trust this economy? What if you could invest in a secure, collateralized portfolio with a high fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed? A portfolio where you'll know what each monthly statement will look like with no surprises. Your interest is compounded daily. You're paid monthly, and there are no fees. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose. And get this, there is absolutely no loss of principal if you ever need your money back. Just go to Invest Y Refi. That's invest, the letter Y, then refi.com or call 888-Y-REFI-24. You can earn a fixed rate of return of up to 10.25%. Just call 888-Y-REFI-24 or go to investyrefi.com and tell them Dr. G sent you.
Hun, we need to stop putting off getting life insurance.
I know. It's just been so busy, and I'm sure the cost is out of our budget.
Well, Jen told me that they got a $500,000 term life insurance policy from Ethos for less than $23 a month. All online with no complicated forms and no medical exam. All they had to do was answer a few health questions.
Wait, no medical exam and all online?
I know, right? It's not easy to think about, but if something happened to you, James and I would be...
Okay, I get it. Let's get a quote from Ethos right now. Wow, you were right. There's no medical exam. And Ethos makes the whole online process fast and easy. And look at these rates and coverage options. It's great protection and totally fits our budget.
Ethos. They've removed all the barriers from getting coverage. Go to checkethos.com to get your free online quote. That's checkethos.com. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 30-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
O'Reilly Auto Parts proudly introduces new Brake Best Select Pro brake pads and rotors for superior stopping power and professional-grade performance. Stop at O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
6:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time is a service of Bank of America with powerful digital solutions for local and global businesses. So you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America N.A. copyright 2023. Eden's at 20 minutes on the inbound commute right now from Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound 53 and solid from O'Hare all the way into the Burns Circle. The Ike-In, an hour 5 already from 390 to the old post office, and it's a mess right now inbound between Mannheim and the old post office due to construction showing up in spots in a left-hand lane. Stevenson, it's an hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive with an accident inbound at Lamont Road. 8094 stop and go due to an earlier accident, semi and car. The driver fled. There has been a search ongoing for that driver, so off and on, you find lots of police activity there, eastbound between Klein Avenue and Grant. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun with a brief midday shower on tap. High of 82. 64 right now. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins. No waiting, no problems, no charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold or silver in today. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, continuing our discussion about the presidential race, Trump's legal issues, the date set for his federal trial related to Jan 6 charges related to January 6th. And the resurgence of this argument by the left and also some conservative judges that this whole ball game's over. Trump can't be a candidate. He's disqualified under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment for aiding and abetting a insurrection or rebellion against the United States. And even though he hasn't been convicted, as you heard before the news from Jamie Raskin, the House already impeached him. The Senate failed to convict him, but they impeached him. They so decreed that it was an insurrection and he was party to it. And so there you go. Quad era demonstratum. We're going to talk to Julie Kelly about that in just a minute, but I also wanted to mention some of the developments on the other side. Biden Incorporated. Some interesting meetings that have surfaced. A member of President Biden's counsel's office met with a top member of special counsel Jack Smith's team 9 weeks before he indicted Trump in the classified document case. And then, of course, indicted him in the January 6th case. The meeting between Caroline Saba, Deputy Chief of Staff for the White House Counsel's Office, and Jay Bratt, a top aide to Special Counsel Jack Smith, raises questions about whether the White House politically influenced or interfered in the GOG's case against Trump. Oh, no. You think they talked about Trump when they met? No. Really? I mean, that's like saying Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch meeting on her plane in 2016 on the tarmac in Arizona. They were talking about Hillary Clinton's, the FBI investigation of Hillary Clinton. No way.
I mean,
that
Bill
didn't come up.
Clinton was there, it was 115 degrees. He was there playing golf in Phoenix. What a bunch of bunk.
Everybody,
give me a break.
Everybody's just friendly. It's just a, sort
a
of
coincidence.
Friends checking up on friends. Don't read anything subversive into it. Untoward. No, of course not. Just like this. Turns out that Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner, met with then Secretary of State John Kerry about 4 weeks before Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin was fired. Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's business partner, Burisma board member, meeting with the sitting Secretary of State in D.C., this according to a State Department email. What'd they talk about?
The weather.
Probably Probably, yeah, climate change, green energy. That's what you talk about with somebody who's on the board of a Ukrainian oil and gas company. Oh, boy. And this, too, again, don't read anything suspicious into this, please. The National Archives admitted that it is in possession of nearly 5,400 emails, electronic records, and documents that show the big guy, President Biden, used a pseudonym during his presidency, his vice presidency, I should say, because, this has been reported a couple times now, but we're starting to get volume and maybe the actual contents. Robin Ware, get Brett Ware. Oh, no, that's Brett Ware. Robert Peters, J.R.B. Ware, pseudonyms he used during his time as President Obama's vice president. 5,400 emails, electronic records, and documents. The contents of those would be interesting to me. Why are you using a pseudonym?
What are you hiding?
Yeah, this isn't like an author who uses a pseudonym to protect their privacy or something like this. You're the vice president of the United States. What is it that you don't want to be connected to you under your name? Interesting questions. But I'm sure there's nothing untoward about any of this. More on this, pleased to be joined by Julie Kelly. Her Substack is Declassified with Julie Kelly. She's now a contributor to Real Clear Investigation. She's also the author of January 6th, How Democrats Use the Capitol Protest to Launch a War on Terror Against the Political Right. Julie, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. That was a good setup. Can I add to those coincidences that you just mentioned?
Sure. If you have any other coincidences that we should innocently construe, please do raise them.
Yeah, so Secretary of State John Kerry, here's another weird coincidence why he was meeting with Devin Archer, because as you guys know, the third partner of Rosemont Seneca was who? Christopher Hines, John Kerry's stepson. So that was the access point to the Secretary of State's office. That's how John Kerry got involved because, of course, Devin Archer and Hunter Biden are buddies and business partners with Christopher Hines.
But
why hasn't he been charged with anything?
But then Hines walked away from the Burisma thing because he thought it brought too much heat. That's at least been reported. Is that your understanding?
That's correct. But of course, he could step away, somehow still profit. But the access is the purpose, right?
Let me ask you something else about that because Brian Kilmeade, we talked about this yesterday. Brian Kilmeade in his interview with Victor Shokin missed an opportunity, and that was to raise the answers that Devin Archer gave in his Tucker Carlson interview about Shokin. The Shokin taken care of. That was always perceived to be Shokin was fired, and then you look at these meetings and the timing of his termination, and obviously the statements that Joe Biden made before the Council on Foreign Relations. You fire that prosecutor, and you're not getting the $1 billion in aid and all that. But Archer indicated that he thought when he was told that Shokin had been taken care of, that Shokin wasn't going to be a problem for them, that they had got to Shokin and they weren't going to have any more trouble with him. What's your understanding?
You mean Shokin in terms of suspending the investigation, or that there was going to be political interference to get rid of him?
No, Archer seemed to indicate that when he heard Shokin had been taken care of, it wasn't that he was going to be fired. It's that the Burisma people had gotten to him, and he wasn't going to present any more problems for them.
Of course, and that's what happened with the previous investigator as well, because when Burisma, the owner, Zlochevsky, hired both Devin Archer and Hunter Biden in April and May of 2014, that's when Burisma was under investigation in the United Kingdom. So they had seized about $28 million of assets of Zlochevsky. The entire EU was going to start investigating him and his ties to the previous Ukrainian president who had been ousted just a few months before. So he was feathering his nest. He was doing whatever he could to protect himself, the Burisma owner, and that's why he hired both Devin Archer and Hunter Biden. Well, not only was Joe Biden involved in suspending that investigation, But now we know that John Kerry was as well. So that is my assumption of what Devin Archer was probably alluding to. And of course, those investigations, the first one that was ongoing when Hunter Biden and Devin Archer were hired, that also went away. We were told by the Secretary of State's office, George Kent, if you recall, during the House impeachment hearings, that, they think that Burisma bribed the Ukrainian prosecutor. Well, it looks like there's a lot more back-dealing pressure from the United States than just, another bribe in Ukraine, which is, happens every day.
You wanted to also address Jay Bratt, Jack Smith's top guy, meeting with White House counsel.
Right. So Jay Bratt was the counterintelligence chief for the DOJ, and he initiated the beginning stage of the investigation into classified documents. Remember that Jack Smith wasn't appointed until November of 2022. The DOJ had started their investigation into classified documents in March of 2022, after, by the way, a criminal referral from the National Archives, who now we find out has thousands of emails they're hiding of Joe Biden and his alias emails, initiated this criminal referral. So Jay Bratt has been in on this since the beginning. Jay Bratt is the top DOJ official who went to Mar-a-Lago on June 3rd of 2022 to receive the 38 other allegedly responsive documents to that May subpoena seeking more materials with classified markings. Donald Trump met with Jay Bratt, allowed Jay Bratt into Mar-a-Lago with 3 FBI agents so they could walk around the president's home, look at the storage room where allegedly, there was more classified material. So this is who Jay Bratt is. As I call them, political operatives disguised as federal prosecutors. So of course he's in cahoots with the White House, and we know that too, going back now to the Hunter Biden plea deal, which we now know from emails as well, that Hunter Biden's team was meeting with Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General, her top deputy, because they were going to get busted for this plea deal or organize this plea deal because the whistleblowers were coming forward to Congress. It's just such an incestuous mess here. I'm in D.C. right now, but, these people are all in cahoots together, protecting one side while prosecuting and trying to destroy the other side.
Now, Julie, you recently put on social media that the Obama-appointed judge, Tanya Chutkan, just compared January 6th to the Boston Marathon bombings. Can you explain?
Right. So yesterday was another status hearing for Judge Tanya Chutkan, who, as I explained in my Real Clear investigation piece, is so biased and so compromised, there's no way she should be handling Jack Smith's case against Donald Trump. She proved it yet again yesterday in a status hearing. This is when she set that March 4th, 2024 trial date. Absolutely absurd. But then in her defense of moving this trial forward so quickly, 7 months between indictment and trial, which just should never happen. It doesn't happen in cases of this magnitude, certainly in a precedented case like this. She said, well, look, this is going to be, happen 3 years and 2 months after the January 6th events. And when you look at the Boston Marathon bombing, that trial took place 2 years after the attack. And then Zacarias Moussaoui, when he was charged, his trial took place 4 years later. Zacarias Moussaoui, allegedly called the 20th hijacker, who was charged with all sorts of terrorism counts, including conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction and kill United States citizens. This is who Tanya Chutkan is. And this is what she said in court yesterday in defending her indefensible 7-month trial schedule for Donald Trump.
Yeah, we can bring terrorists to trial quickly. Boston Marathon bombers, 9/11 attackers, the former president, the terrorists, right?
Sure. The people who killed, young children. And,
right. Yeah.
That's who Donald Trump is, who faces 4 counts, 1 obstruction, and 3 conspiracy counts. He doesn't face any terrorism charges.
Right.
But that doesn't matter to people like Tanya Chutkan, because what she's doing is auditioning for a promotion to the D.C. appellate court or someday the Supreme Court from a Democratic president. That's what she's doing in this courtroom.
Always auditioning for the powers that be to get, gain their, to enhance your good standing and gain access to the next rung. No, there's no question about it. And for people who think that the judiciary is somehow insulated from that ambition, you're fooling yourselves. With respect to Chutkin, so Trump lawyers, as we were talking about before you joined us, they push for April 2026. I mean, even with the March 4th court date and the eve of Super Tuesday, I mean, it's comical.
And they act like it's not political.
It's as John Kennedy said, it's the kind of stuff that happens in countries where the lotto winner gets 3 chickens and a cow. But this is what's happening. So, but I mean, the Trump lawyers still have more arrows in their quiver to push off this date through discovery and other pretrial motions, don't they?
They do. And Dan, I did get a copy of the transcript last night of the hearing, and it's worse than what the media is reporting. And I point people to my Twitter feed. You could see I do this, you guys know this, post screenshots of the transcript. So John Lauro really was pushing back hard on her, March trial date, or even a quicker calendar before she announced that date. And so he definitely has more motions, including a change of venue motion, including selective prosecution motion, dismissal of every single count, and he'll walk through those. So, yes, he has a lot more. It will fall on deaf ears in Tanya Chutkin's courtroom, who, by the way, and Dan, as a lawyer, you'll be astounded at this, Tanya Chutkin was arguing with John Lauro, Trump's attorney, yesterday for not starting to investigate or prepare for this case a year ago. She said,
pre-indictment? Pre-indictment?
That's what she said, Dan. She said, this grand jury was announced in September of 2022, and a lot of this discovery comes from your client's entities, his PAC, his Twitter feed, the January 6th Select Committee report that came out in December. Why haven't you been preparing for this for over a year? And he said, he fought back, of course, and said, well, because I wasn't hired until a month and a half ago. The indictment was handed down August 1st. Wow. And you know what she said? She said, well, you didn't have an obligation, but you had an opportunity to pre-prepare for an indictment over a year, because she said to them, his defense team, you knew this was coming. No one was surprised by that.
Right. I haven't been retained by a potential client, but I should launch an investigation into him. I mean, this is how, come on, you got to embark yourself better. Hey, President Trump, hire me. I've already been investigating you. I've put together. I mean, it really, it's astounding. It's just astounding. When you think you've heard the most ridiculous thing, you hear something like you just relayed to us. Julie Kelly, her Substack is Declassified with Julie Kelly. She's a contributor now to RealClearInvestigations.com and the author of the bestseller January 6th, How Democrats Used the Capitol Protest to Launch a War on Terror Against the Political Right. Julie, thank you as always.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yep, thanks. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
When you're not eating anything, you're not getting any nutrition. It really took a toll on my health. Balance of Nature is upping my nutrition and just making me healthier. And my energy is good with it, so I like it.
At 64 years old, I know I eat terribly. So with the Balance of Nature, I do feel better because, as you get older, you start to get a little slower, a little more tired. And at my age now, I'm bouncing around on ladders. The product is fantastic.
Go to balanceofnature.com. And for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and want to see what Salem Surround can do for you, visit surroundchicago.com. Remember to visit surroundchicago.com today.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The big guys, big green energy at 7:07 with Louis Andrews.
Now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A man convicted of murdering an off-duty CPD officer has been sentenced to life. Fire destroys homes in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood, and the Brewers beat the Cubs. WIND, Chicago News Time, 7.
Millions in its path. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Hurricane Idalia is heading straight for Florida. Fox Weather's Britta Merwin in Tampa.
Right now, the trajectory of this storm, the angle of approach, could be worst case scenario for Tampa Bay. We're talking about a life-threatening storm surge, which is why evacuations have been called. In fact, when we arrived yesterday, we had to switch our hotel 3 times because the hotels were evacuating. This storm is just getting into the Gulf of Mexico. Things are going to unfold quickly. The conditions are going downhill tonight, and wherever you are tonight in the state of Florida is going to be where you are riding out the reality of what Idalia could be lashing out.
After Florida, the storm's on track to hit Georgia and the Carolinas. Surveillance video shows the white supremacist who killed 3 black people in Jacksonville, Florida, went to a different dollar store first before being chased from Edward Waters College by a security guard, then the shooting at Dollar General. President Biden.
White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison. It's been allowed to grow faster and fester in our communities, to the point where the intelligence community is determined, the U.S. intelligence community is determined that domestic terrorism rooted in white supremacy is the greatest terrorist threat we face in the homeland.
The president at a civil rights event marking 60 years since the March on Washington. No word on a motive yet for a shooting at the University of North Carolina. A faculty member is dead. A suspect's taken into custody 3 hours later.
Campus Police Chief Brian James said they hope a conversation will reveal what happened.
We really do want to know the why in this case and what led to it.
There were no other injuries reported. The building where the shooting happened is closed as more evidence is gathered. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The Biden administration announces the first 10 drugs targeted for direct Medicare price negotiations with the manufacturers. Among them, the blood thinner Eliquis. Pharmaceutical companies are suing over the new negotiation strategy. America's listening to Fox News.
Sunshine and 64 degrees. 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Chicago police are revealing more details about that shooting inside Guaranteed Rate Field at White Sox game last Friday. Interim Chicago Police Superintendent Fred Waller saying the incident most likely involved a gun going off inside Guaranteed Rate Field. The father of the Highland Park July 4 shooting suspect will stand trial. Lake County judge rejecting a request to dismiss charges against Robert Cremo Jr. Defense attorney George Gomez.
Did nothing wrong, and we're going to maintain that position from here forward.
Father now has a November trial date. While the White House expects a new vaccine for the latest COVID-19 variant to come out sometime next month, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker doesn't expect more COVID-19 mandates, he says. At an event Monday, the governor was pressed by reporters and finally responded to questions about if he'll mandate a new vaccine for the state. Pritzker mandated COVID-19's vaccines for many state positions, you may recall, but also included school staff, college students, and others in congregate settings during the COVID-19 pandemic in his first term. The search is on for suspects after a TV news crew was robbed at gunpoint in Chicago's Westtown neighborhood. The reporter and photographer Univision Chicago reporting yesterday morning about a string of armed robberies when 3 men wearing masks exited cars, approached with firearms, and took items. The president of the National Association of Realtors is stepping down. Kenny Parcell resigned yesterday following complaints of sexual harassment and following a New York Times article published over the weekend detailing accusations against Parcell at the Chicago-based organization, including forced physical contact and sending lewd photos and texts. Cubs lost to the Brew Crews 6-2. White Sox blanked by Baltimore 9-0. The News is a service of PKF Mueller CPA Professionals, Business and Financial Advisors. Visit online today at pkfmueller.com. That's pkfmueller.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum sees work ahead for Trump.
MAGA people are going to vote for Trump no matter what. But for other people that's on the fence, in the middle, vacillating, in the general, is when you're going to see a huge effect. If Donald Trump is able to prove his innocence early on, or it appears that he's going to be innocent early on, I think that's going to be a tremendous boost for him.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
There are more than 50 million people enslaved in the world today. Most of them are women and children.
They lock you in cellars or in rooms with no windows. 95% of girls that are born in the brothels remain trapped in the brothels for the rest of their lives.
SOS International is working to make freedom possible for these women and kids. And with your help, today can be the day another victim comes into freedom.
By the hundreds, we are saving those girls and bringing them to a secure place. A place that is a safe home for them to grow in.
Just $150 makes freedom possible for a trafficking victim. It provides shelter, food, counseling, everything they need to start a new life. Make freedom possible now. Visit 560theanswer.com/SOS. Every day that goes by is another day of suffering and abuse. But you can change it now. You can make today the day of freedom and rescue. Learn how you can bring freedom now at 560theanswer.com/SOS.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to lifelock.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
It makes me feel better because it's feeding my body what it needs. I could tell when I first started this it was going to do something because my mind felt better and I just felt better.
I've seen the ads on TV forever, and I happen to be an entertainer. I'm 88 years old, and as a result of Balance of Nature, I'm back doing 10 shows a month. It just improved my overall health. Balance of Nature has balanced everything out, and it has really helped tremendously.
Go to balanceofnature.com, and for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.708. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and it is a service of Starcase, offering a wide variety of rack frames and server cabinets for your computers and rack-mounted electronics. They also stock the rack-mount accessories you're looking for as well. Go to starcase.com to get started. Eden's 25 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the junction. We're looking at, right now, an hour 20 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike inbound is an hour 13 from 390 into the old post office. And by the way, the roadway down to one lane from the ramp to the eastbound Ida Wells because it's closed due to construction until 5 a.m. Saturday, September 2nd, causing big headaches this morning and lots of problems as you roll into downtown. Stevenson also jammed this morning, 64 in from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Reagan slows up eastbound between Cermak Road and Roosevelt. I-80 stop and go eastbound, center to Chicago. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and some sun, a brief shower around the midday today. Look for a high of 82. Clear tonight, low 59. Sun and patchy clouds, a breezy day tomorrow, the high 71. Sunshine, a terrific day on Thursday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
66 at O'Hare, 65 at Midway. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
I like this Lotto tune, and it fits nicely. It's sort of ironically, we're using it to lead into our segment here because, of course, the Biden administration is into small energy, switchgrass and windmills and solar panels. Really, it would seem to me they won't put it in these terms, but they have adopted essentially the viewpoint of the radical eco-supremacists of Western Europe. Remember this earlier this year? The Beyond Growth 2023 conference at the EU. Yeah, what a good time that was.
Did you get your T-shirt?
Greta Thunberg 1.0, because she's a little bit older. This woman named Anuna de Wever van der Hayden.
Wow.
It's like the Swedish chef.
A bit of the Amy's this morning.
Anuna de Wever van der Hayden.
Van der Hayden.
She is, I don't know, she may be a relative of Jean-Claude Van Damme. She's a Belgian climate activist.
Yeah.
And the watchword here is degrowth. You got to get on the degrowth train. Take a listen.
Infinite growth on finite resources is not only a myth, but it's extractivist and ruthlessly oppressive by design. So when talking about growth and defending growth, there is a very important first question that we need to ask ourselves. Who are we growing this economy for? And what stories do we use to justify it? We have to acknowledge what lays below our growth. White supremacy, colonialism, and imperialism. White supremacy justifies a global system of exploitation and extractivism. Colonialism lays at the foundations of the European economy, institutions, corporate value chains, trade deals, investment agreements, and geopolitical structures of wealth accumulation, which means that there is no degrowth without decolonization. We need to take these conversations outside of these rooms and make sure that for all of the hundreds of fossil fuel lobbyists demanding growth, there are thousands of us demanding degrowth. We need to redistribute wealth, cancel climate debt, implement a universal basic income, massively invest in loss and damage funds, degrow the economy in high-income countries, increase universal public services, reduce working time, dematerialize, and reprioritize what it means to live a human life.
Yeah. Let's get out there and kill our economies.
Woo-hoo!
Absolutely.
Bring it down.
Boy, it's, killing your economy is really, it's just the right thing to do.
So heroic,
This is the kind of person Michael Schellenberger is talking about when he was asked to comment on those knuckleheads out in Nevada trying to stop traffic from going to the Burning Man concert. Just the same people who were throwing paint on paintings and
gluing themselves to the Florida NBA games.
Exactly.
And runways.
And Michael Schellenberger, he calls himself an eco-modernist. I mean, he's he definitely has a 20-plus year record of being an environmental activist. but he's not trying to deindustrialize the West like a lunatic. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen is climate protesters becoming more infantile in their protests over the last year. We saw them throwing soup at Van Gogh paintings, spilling milk onto the floor, gluing their hands onto the floor. These are behaviors of toddlers, of people who were not raised right. And now it's been up to law enforcement to deal with their tantrums. I would say we know a lot about fanatics, Laura, and we know that these are people that often don't have anything else going on in their lives. They're often themselves artistic failures. And Burning Man, for whatever else, it is a big hippie gathering. I will say there's some really great art there, and these are people that are probably not capable of doing anything really creative or beneficial to society, and so they find themselves just engaging in destructive behaviors.
Well, that description fits John Kerry to a T. He also had this to say about the cost of this infantile behavior, whether it's suited up in the form of John Kerry or it's the antics that he was describing, the cost of it, the cost of being unserious about these matters.
We know that some modest changes to temperatures is not what makes the difference between having catastrophic fires or not. What causes catastrophic fires is a failure of fire prevention, and in particular, forest management, keeping the grasses clear around electrical wires, such as in California and Hawaii, properly maintaining forests, such as in Greece and in California. So the idea that we can't prevent these catastrophic fires until you reduce climate change is an absolute lie. And it's a lie that is aimed at turning us into victims, turning it as patronizing, it's disempowering. And really, we just need, sadly, it has turned out that you need hundreds of people to die before the politicians snap out of this climate trance, which I think has really led to the neglect of the forests and of the things on the landscape that really matter when it comes to forest fires.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Lewis Andrews. He's the president of the Children's Educational Opportunity Foundation, author of Living Spiritually in the Material World. Lewis Andrews, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. It's nice to be with you.
Your perspective on what Schellenberger had to say, not about the goofballs, but the last piece about sort of the kind of conversations we should be having about preventing what we saw in Maui with respect to responsible land management and coordination when there is a serious event like a fire or a flood that government is sort of spotty on, depending on which particular locale you're talking about.
Well, I've been looking at some of the data lately about these fires. The one that came down from Canada, and then the ones that we've had out in California. And if you look at the air pollution that they generate, it's what they're talking about in terms of cars and appliances is minuscule compared to what we could control just through appropriate forest management. It's amazing the amount of ignorance that's being perpetuated. One of the things that's interested me, or a couple of things that have interested me lately, is some of the damage that's being done by this climate obsession that people aren't really appreciating. Particularly what's going on with our young people. There's a medical journal, respected medical journal called The Lancet, did a study about 2 years ago of teenagers from the U.S. and Canada, Britain, and 4 other countries. And almost 60% of teenagers now say they are extremely worried about climate change, and half of them say they can't even function because they're paralyzed by climate anxiety, climate fears, climate hysteria. And, that's a terrible development, that we have a whole generation that's not only been fooled into believing that, they're going to be saved by batteries and cars, but their lives are really being impacted by this. And every time there's a weather report of a hurricane in Florida or a heat wave in Texas, they think it's the end of the world.
Well,
and it's sad.
Well, recently we had 2 warm days here in Chicago, and they, hot with the heat index, but it lasted 2 days, and kids actually thought that they were going to die. And
Right.
so my question is, what role is social media playing in this? Because, before when we were growing up, there were hot days. We had strings of warm, hot days with the heat index above, 3 digits. But social media seems to be spreading this fear. Do you agree?
I think social media certainly is the vehicle, but one of the things that I don't know how you. One of the things that I find interesting is if you go back in history, this is not the first time we've had these kinds of fears. You go back 50 years and you've got the population time bomb. People thought overpopulation was going to destroy the world. It turns out population is actually declining. Then before that, in the 1950s, you had the nuclear war scare. People thought the U.S. and Russia were going to go to war. And kids were taught to hide under their desks. They go through drills, and kids in schools would hide under their desks, to avoid radiation. But after they went through the drill, they went on with their lives, And the question that I ask myself is, why today is this particular scare so terrifying? And why is it that people, a lot of young people, can't seem to go on with their lives? And I think a lot of it has to do with the decline of religious influence in modern life. We live in a very secular time, and what religion, all three of the major religions in the U.S., Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they all teach to have faith in science. I think it's in Genesis 1:28 talks about, God gives man the ability to control the forests and build homes and take charge of the world, but it also cautions us not to take our own beliefs to extremes and think that we really know everything that's going to happen, and that we need to have a little more faith in the future. And I think that's lacking today more than it ever has been, because we live in such a secular culture. And I think that's one of the reasons why these fears of climate are having a disproportionate impact that, say, fear of nuclear war or fear of population didn't have years ago, because people had more faith.
No, I think that's a good point. I mean, it sort of boils down to what Michael Schellenberger said about those goofballs in Nevada and at the EU talking about deindustrialization, degrowth. They're not raised right. I mean, they're not raised right. They're not raised right because they're being sent to Caesar schools, and then parents are surprised when they come back as Romans. One of my favorite Bodie Beckham lines, and then when they're whatever they're consuming on social media, if they run around talking like Greta Thunberg, it's time to take your kid to the side and talk some sense into them. Have you read this? Do you understand that? Do you appreciate this other thing? I mean, so there's just to me it's a failure of the family, as you suggested, the increased secularization.
I think that's something that really needs to be talked about more. And the other thing that really needs to be talked about more is the impact of all this climate spending that's going to have on basic social programs like Medicare and Social Security. There's no way the government, we're $31 trillion in debt at the moment. There's no way the government can go further in debt without at some point there being some effort to radically control spending, because at some point people aren't going to lend us money anymore if they think we can't control spending. And when that happens, there's no way that you can carve out Social Security and Medicare and say, well, we won't take money out of them, but we'll take it out of defense and other programs. If you go back through history, any country that has had a big debt crisis and has finally had to deal with it takes money out of every program equally. That's the only way you can do it politically. And that means that every dollar we go into debt for Biden's green agenda eventually threatens benefits that come from Social Security and Medicare.
He is Lewis Andrews. He's the president of the Children's Educational Opportunity Foundation, and he's the author of Living Spiritually in the Material World. Lewis Andrews, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information. to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that St. John's Lutheran School at Lombard is the only school in the entire state of Illinois offering the renowned Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum? If you're a parent in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, or the surrounding areas, and you're searching for an exceptional educational experience for your child, then look no further than St. John's Lutheran K-8, where academic excellence meets strong Christian values. St. John's partnership with Hillsdale ensures your child receives a rigorous K-8 academic experience. What sets St. John's apart is that they recognize the concerns many parents have about the radical woke agenda infiltrating public schools. That's why they're dedicated to providing a nurturing environment that promotes the Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking. The Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum, combined with their focus on Christian faith and character development, is a game changer for your child's education. Learn more at stjohnslombard.com, stjohnslombard.com. Give your child or grandchild the gift of a faith-based Hillsdale College K-8 curriculum-based education. That website again, stjohnslombard.com.
This is Sean Thompson, and I'm proud to tell you about the great work of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, a new partner of ours here at AM 560. Born on America's darkest day of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been helping America's heroes ever since. When a first responder or military service member doesn't come home and young children are left behind, Tunnel to Towers pays the mortgage on the family home to lift the financial burden and bring stability. For catastrophically injured veterans and first responders, Tunnel to Towers builds mortgage-free smart homes, giving our most severely injured heroes the ability to live more independent lives. You can help America's heroes and their families by supporting the Tunnel to Towers Foundation when you make a small donation of just $11 a month. Go to T2T.org. That's T, the number 2, T.org. T2T.org.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a professional tree climber. That's what I do for a living. I'm just hopped up with just energy. Loved it. I want to keep those Balance of Nature. Matter of fact, I've told a bunch of people about them. I know that 2 or 3 of my friends have jumped on the bandwagon because I told them, I said, I just felt energized, all the time. It took a couple weeks for me to really notice, but I just had so much more energy. My doctor told me to keep taking them because he recommends it to his patients, and he takes them.
Go to balanceofnature.com, and for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 40-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost you about $100 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance to buy $1 million of affordable term life for you. All you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-239-1749. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life insurance, call 800-239-1749. 800-239-1749.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What is Chicago Mayor BLM Brandon's priority for the next 100 days? We'll find out and discuss with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org. All things Illinois policy related. That's at 7:37.
But now straight into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees at 7:31 on AM 560, The Answer. Chicago police are revealing more details about the shooting at a White Sox game that occurred last Friday. Interim Chicago Police Superintendent Fred Waller saying the incident most likely involved a gun going off inside Guaranteed Rate Field. The White House expects a new vaccine for the latest COVID-19 variant to come out sometime next month. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker doesn't expect more COVID-19 mandates. At an event Monday, the governor was pressed by reporters and finally responded to questions about if he'll mandate a new vaccine to start with for state workers.
The Facebook fakery about, some kind of coming mandate, nobody's even talked about. That's not a real thing. But what is a real thing is people need to take care of themselves, and particularly those who are most vulnerable.
Pritzker mandated COVID-19 vaccines, you may recall, for many state positions, but also included school staff, college students, and others in congregate settings. The president of the National Association of Realtors is stepping down. Kenny Parcell resigned yesterday following complaints of sexual harassment from current or former employees and members of the Chicago-based organization. It all comes after a New York Times article published over the weekend detailed accusations, including forced physical contact. Cubs lost to the Brew Crew 6-2. Cubs now trail Milwaukee by 5 games in the NL Central race and lead Arizona by a half game for the second wildcard spot in the NL. White Sox lost to Baltimore 9-0 at Camden Yards. Michael Kopech charged with loss number 12. The news a service of the Pride Stores, with 17 locations throughout Chicagoland that include Taco Urbano or Urban Counter restaurants. Stop by their newest location, the Pride of Kane County in St. Charles, on the corner of Kirk and Main. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Reveille. One of the many bills Governor Pritzker signed this year was a bill requiring the Illinois State Board of Education develop a statewide literacy plan. There's no doubt a plan is needed. Statewide, only 30% of public school children are at grade level in English language arts. The legislation was sponsored by Democrat Rita Mayfield from Waukegan. Prior to becoming a legislator, Rita served on her local school board, and today in that district, only 12% of students read at grade level. Mayfield is not the only one who recognizes a problem here. Democrat legislator Mary Flowers, who represents Englewood on the south side of Chicago, passed a bill out of the House requiring phonics be taught for reading. It was not taken up in the Senate. At an elementary school in her district, only 6% of the students are proficient in reading. Illinois spends well over $30 billion a year on education. We have some of the highest paid teachers in the country, the most school districts, and loads of experts that ply their trade to improve education in this state. The results don't reflect that massive investment made over the years, and instead are immoral and on the verge of being outright theft of tax dollars. Considering that, does anyone really believe one more plan from the same bureaucracy will yield different results? If these legislators were serious about improving chances for Illinois' school children to get a good education, they would lobby instead to keep the Invest in Kids scholarship program and expand it. It expires at the end of this year, and when it goes, thousands of kids will be forced back into failing public schools, and no literacy plan from bureaucracy will be enough to save them. Mayfield and Flowers have the power in Springfield to save that program. Let's hope they do. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com. That's breakthrough-ideas.com.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled pros to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
7:36. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, it's a full half hour. Edens inbound, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at 90 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange with an accident on the right-hand shoulder inbound at Addison. The Eisenhower inbound all jammed up due to road work that's erupted overnight. Roadway down to one lane. The ramp to eastbound Wells is closed due to construction until Saturday, September 2nd. Your delay starts in the avenues and rolls all the way into the old post office. Stevenson inbound, 70 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan at 33 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. I-57 inbound, accident right shoulder at 111. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun this morning. A brief midday shower could hit. High 82. And then a moonlit sky returns for the overnight hours and a low of 59. 66 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. Out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. And BLM Brandon did a sit-down with animatronic Fox News app propaganda reader Scott Schneider, who is, I think, taking the lead in the balloting for
what?
Journalist of the Year, according to the CTU Journalist of the Year.
Kind of reminds me of a common day anchorman. I'm the anchorman.
Yes. Scott Schneider serving as essentially a prompt for Brandon to give his stock answers on matters that were addressed. Public safety wasn't one of them. He only had 11 minutes.
I mean, how could you forget to bring that up? You must not live in the city.
But he did address the sanctuary city status, because actually there's a movement afoot, even among some aldermen, Ray Lopez, to rescind Chicago's sanctuary city status. And here's what BLM Brandon had to say about that.
Well, as I've said repeatedly, Chicago maintaining its status as a welcoming city is an important part of our tradition and our history. Many people know that 40 years ago that Mayor Harold Washington declared the city of Chicago to be sanctuary. And I'm grateful for that leadership, because had it not been for that movement a generation ago, we would not be positioned to be the welcoming space for families who were seeking refuge, like my family, who came up during the second migration from the South, Salis, Mississippi, and families who are coming up from Central and South America. Look, it's going to take all of us to address this humanitarian dynamic, the state, the county government, as well as the city government. Now, what I'm encouraged by is that we do have a real strong collaboration here in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, Cook County government, pushing the federal government to provide more support for families. We're going to need it.
Yeah, also, Harold Washington had made it safe for men to wear women's lingerie.
Okay.
So that was important as well 40 years ago. Such an impact. Related story, the FBI is reportedly scrambling to find more than a dozen Uzbek nationals who sought asylum in the U.S. earlier this year after intel officers discovered they traveled to the southern border with the help of a smuggler who has ties to ISIS. A humanitarian crisis, in part, and not in other part. Officials are working to identify and assess all the individuals who gain entry into the country, according to a National Security Council spokeshuman. Well, that's wonderful. Meanwhile, in Chicago, we're willy-nilly setting up migrant centers, 15 of them around the city, in order to just concede the fact that migrants are here and they are to be provided all the creature comforts and also access to CPS classrooms, no vaccine required. That's what's happening here. He was asked about CPS briefly. The poor reading and math proficiency scores you've seen if you've read wirepoints.org's reporting on CPS's academic performance. And this answer is going to sound very much like the answer you just heard from migrants, because that's the answer he has for every issue.
Well, here's the thing that's important. We have to make sure that we are making the critical investments so that our children's learning and development is fully realized. Now, look, as someone who was taught reading, I understand the importance and the value of being able to draw conclusions, figure out what a comma splice is, and of course, figure out what the main ideal of a story is. It's difficult to do that when you have the type of poverty that exists in the city of Chicago. I can tell you firsthand, when a child is coming to school hungry, they're not necessarily interested in the 5 causes of the American Revolution, as much as that might excite you and I. But if you have not had stable housing, 65,000 families that are unhoused, of which 20,000 of them are children, and that's why we worked with the expediency over the first 100 days to create a pathway to bring Chicago home, a dedicated revenue stream that's going to provide revenue to support the unhoused, treatment, not trauma, that's going to make sure that we have mental health support that's available for our young people and our families. And so math scores, reading scores, in order for those scores to actually improve, we have to make sure we improve the living and the working conditions of our families. And unless we're committed to that type of investment, it will be hard pressed to see the type of results that the people of Chicago expect.
Scott Schneider had a follow-up to that statement. What was the American Revolution? Brandon Johnson's answers, collaboration, spending, work and home life. Interesting. A follow-up by somebody who had firing synapses might be, really, can you explain why Chicago Hope Academy on the city's south side produces one result with the 100% minority kids under its charge, and its neighboring CPS schools produce something very different and substantially subpar? Can you explain that? Same kids from same neighborhoods, different outcomes from this school, Chicago Hope Academy, for example, and all those CPS schools you're want to tout. No, but those are the kind of impertinent questions that don't get asked. Brandon Johnson's goal over the next 100 days. He's got 100 days under his belt. Public safety related, K through 12 related. No, you heard it.
What?
Spend related. He's got a lot of spending he wants to do.
I really believe that the number one goal, though, over the next 100 days is to really create a budgetary process that is fully inclusive. Now, I'm going to pass my first budget in just a few more months, but I want to make sure that everyone knows that they are fully heard, and that includes our young people, every single older person, the interests of the city of Chicago, we get to have on full display. And so to pass a budget that is centered around building a better, stronger, safer Chicago in a collaborative way, that is my number one goal over the next 100 days.
That's
Bingo.
wonderful.
I got bingo.
There's no better kind of budget than an inclusive budget. Ted
Better, stronger,
Dabrowski.
safer Chicago.
Ted Dabrowski is president of wirepoints.org. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Inclusive budget means, everybody who needs to get cut in gets cut in so that we can keep this little racket running.
Well, yeah, usually all the budgets are, exclusive. It's hard to know what all that means. I tell you, it's really interesting to listen to him, and we happen to have run a whole bunch of numbers the last few days about Illinois is the most, you could argue, the most equity-driven, progressive, right? We have competition with California, whatever, New Jersey. But it is about as inclusive, about as progressive, about as equity obsessed as any other state in the country. And yet, when you look at all the data, it is undeniably now that I've looked at it, especially for blacks, undeniably one of the worst places for them to live. And I'm talking about income, I'm talking about poverty, I'm talking about school results. It's an absolute failure. And the thing about what Brandon Johnson is doing is he's trying to take it even further to the left, even further progressive, when it's already been destructive. So it's really sad. I mean, if you look at this, the unemployment rate in Chicago for blacks, highest in the country. If you look at the gap between whites and blacks on poverty, the gaps between blacks and white on incomes, it's phenomenal. What a failure, our governments have done. And so to hear him say all that stuff, it's really, I don't know how to say it right now, but it's really ugly. It's really ugly.
Has he accomplished anything in the first 100 days?
No, I don't see it. I've looked at the numbers. The bad guys are figuring out, hey, they're smart. They figure out, well, we can't do. Why do hijackings? We're going to do less hijackings. We're going to steal more cars because it's easy. And you know what? It's easy to take these stolen cars and drive around different neighborhoods because they won't chase us anymore. They won't do foot chases or car chases. So we can literally go to 10 or 15 or 20 different neighborhoods and do robberies and get away with it. And that's why we're seeing a spike in robberies now. Out of nowhere, we got like a 50% spike in the last couple of months.
Yeah,
so,
well, that's the fault of
that's
the fault of Kia and Hyundai.
Yeah, and it just like he sues Kia, he sues Hyundai because they are not protecting their cars, keeping them from being stolen, as opposed to blaming the criminals. And I'm wondering whether he's a step away from suing parents because their kids can't read and write. He's got to be a step away from that. So I don't see what he's done on anything, frankly. He's stuck on his finances. He keeps talking about investments, but it's going to be really hard for him to pass tax hikes. So it's going to be an interesting situation for the next 100 days. But I see nothing but more of the same. He's got those canned lines of what he says, and he says it over and over, and it's not very nuanced. There's not a whole lot of thinking behind them. They just seem very canned.
They're like it's hypnotic. You just say collaboration and investing, and you just use all these
Work together.
Mellifluous words that sound unity oriented and collaboration oriented, and the kids and families and a bigger, better, banger, build back something.
No,
I mean,
it's a bigger, better, stronger, safer Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, it's just blah 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 blah. I mean, it's one automaton in the Chicago media talking to another one in the mayor's office.
You know, and I think his words are even worse than that. They're really dangerous. You know, if you think about crime, right? We've talked about it a lot. He excuses crime all the time. He's always making an excuse for the silly kids. They're young. Everything's racist. Those kind of things. That's one. And then in the schools, the more and more he does this blaming. Look, there's no denying that many of these kids come from very troubled households. There's no denying that. But by using the words that he does, he's always excusing all teachers, the entire system, because now they can all say, we can't educate these kids because look at their problems. And so my view, and I get this from looking at the stuff in Peoria and Decatur, is everybody's forget teaching. We're no longer places of education. We are now, our goal is to take care of the whole child, and that means nothing in the end. But it certainly means that they've stopped. They're not responsible anymore for those reading and math results because they don't have to be.
Well, I mean, here again, you document this over at Wire Points. The city's budget, I don't know if this is just adjusted for inflation, but it's increased by 50% over the last 4 years. And so what have we got for that extra almost $6 billion in spend in the last 4 years? We get more politicians spewing more rhetoric saying we need more.
Yeah, and it's not adjusted for inflation. That's just the big number, right? So we're spending about $10.7 billion in Chicago in 2019 when Lightfoot's first year. Now we're spending almost $6 billion more. That's more than the full budget for Dallas. So in 4 years, Chicago now has almost the Dallas equivalent to spend in addition to what it was spending before. And nobody really understands. Even we don't. I mean, there's so much money that flowed through because of COVID, because of all the handouts that went everywhere. That I'd say the budget's bastardized, but it's got $6 billion more in it. And granted, some of that was used for COVID stuff, right? Maybe some of it, of course, was legitimate, even though most of it was done by the government's own lockdowns. But now it's hard to understand. He's asking for more money. He keeps saying, I need this money and that money and investment. And it's going to come from taxpayers. He's going to try to get the rich, but what the poor need to understand is even if he does go after the rich, well, the rich will leave, as we see.
Yeah, or they fire you because they have to. I mean, we mentioned this anecdote from a City Journal piece by Bryce Hill, The Tax in Town, talking about Chicago. During the past decade, Chicago's commercial property taxes have jumped 93%. Cook County business owners in north and northwest suburbs saw 134% increase in property tax hikes over the past 20 years, from 12.2 to 28.7. Commercial property tax hikes in south and southwest suburbs not far off. And, of course, the Southland is a demilitarized zone in large measure because of the property tax classification system in Cook County. But here's just an anecdote to make it concrete. The Marinos family, owners of Belmar Wire Products in Bucktown, immigrants who build a stable family-owned manufacturing firm. In December 2022, they were ambushed by a 400% in property tax hike. 400%, 4x. Their massive tax bill forced them to let half of their workforce go. Aliki Marinos, we just went through COVID, closures, price increases, surges of gas, of food, insurance costs, short labor supplies. We feel like you're kicking us out, like you don't want us here, like you want us to fail. That's what it seems like. We love the city. We just need it to love us back. Well, that love is going to be unrequited in this administration.
Yeah, Bryce does a good job of covering that, and it's the same story we hear. We go around everywhere. People are they're flabbergasted. These like restaurant owners and all that. It's really hard, and you see prices go way up. They're trying to pass it on to consumers. The question is, can they successfully do that? And it's only a matter of time. Again, Johnson talked about the Great Migration and his family moving here. The sad part is that the Great Migration is unwinding itself as blacks in large numbers.
Yeah.
Tens of hundreds of thousands are going back to Houston, are going back to Dallas. And, if Johnson wants to celebrate his family moving here, he should be doing everything he can to keep them here. But he's not. He doesn't realize, he doesn't care, whatever we want to say. He's chasing people out. He's going to chase more and more people out.
And if you're looking from any help at the top, Governor Spalding, he's too busy flacking for the big guy in D.C. and preparing for the DNC. He's taken the same approach this year since his reelect that he took in his first term, which is stay away from Chicago. Don't make Chicago my problems.
Yeah, he's been really good at that. I always say that Pritzker's really good at all this stuff, but he's able to deflect and Teflon. Chicago, is always Lightfoot's problems, even though many of his own laws and much of what he does, make Chicago worse. But he's been really good at that.
Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Ted, thanks as always.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a professional tree climber. That's what I do for a living. I'm just hopped up with just energy. Loved it. I want to keep those balance of nature. Matter of fact, I've told a bunch of people about them. I know that 2 or 3 of my friends have jumped on the bandwagon because I told them, I said, I just felt energized, all the time. It took a couple weeks for me to really notice, but I just had so much more energy. My doctor told me to keep taking them because he recommends it to his patients, and he takes them.
Go to balanceofnature.com. And for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles, may be why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95, to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. My name is Jason Hansen. I become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Hey, is your cell phone in desperate need of replacement? It's time to put that old phone to rest. Upgrade to the all-new 5G Samsung Galaxy, and you can get it from Pure Talk for absolutely free. Now get a free 5G Samsung Galaxy with 2-day battery life and ultra-strong Gorilla Glass when you sign up for Pure Talk's unlimited talk, text, and 15-gig data plan for only $35 a month. Plus, it comes with mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, Pure Talk.
AM 560, The Answer.
Some tweets in response to our discussion on property taxes in Cook County. Property tax on a commercial building we own in Lincoln Park went from $30K to $60K in a year. I increased the rent on tenants to make up for it. We're selling the building. Our warehouse on the west side, 100,000 square foot building, 2020, $63,000. 2021, $185,000. I mean,
you can't live like that. That's not sustainable.
Coming up at 8:08, former Texas Congressman Will Hurd, candidate for the Republican nomination for president. He'll join us 8:08.
Today, clouds and sun, a brief shower at midday. It's 8 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Hurricane Idalia is getting stronger. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News.
This thing's going to hit us on Wednesday morning. It's going to be a major hurricane.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Fox saying people have a little time left to make preparations. Our track right now has the storm making landfall tomorrow morning along Florida's Big Bend.
Idalia tracking up. It's a Cat 1 right now. Mandatory evacuations in flood zones like where I'm at in the Barrier Islands and some lower level geography pockets. Sandbags are out. They're boarding up businesses and getting ready. They have till about later this evening to get out of these areas. And where I'm at on Clearwater Beach, expected up to 7 feet of storm surge. That is the huge concern along the Gulf Coast.
And storm surge could hit 12 feet in some places. Rare videos released of an American in Russian custody since 2018, accused falsely, he says, of spying, serving a 16-year sentence.
The video shows detained American Paul Whelan wearing a Russian prison uniform and was shot in May by state-controlled news agency Russia Today. Whelan is seen eating in a cafeteria and using a sewing machine. He speaks briefly, telling the Russia Today reporter he can't do an interview, explaining, quote, which means I can't answer any questions.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. California's Attorney General is suing a California school district over a policy meant to preserve parents' rights.
At issue is Chino Valley's, quote, parental notification policy, which alerts the parents of a child's desire to change their gender identity while at school, even if that's against that child's wishes. AG Rob Bonta says the policy essentially lets educators out their students, saying it potentially puts some at risk of abuse, while also violating their constitutional rights and the state's privacy laws. He also accuses the Chino Valley Board of using the policy to, quote, manifest and harbor animosity, discrimination, and prejudice.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. The first not guilty plea from a Trump co-defendant in the Georgia election case comes from Ray Smith. He's an attorney for the 2020 Trump campaign in Georgia. America's listening to Fox News.
"66 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man convicted of murder in the 2011 shooting death of an off-duty Chicago police officer, Clifton Lewis, has been sentenced to life in prison. Alexander Villa received the sentence yesterday. Villa vowed to appeal the verdict, claiming without any evidence that he was framed by police and prosecutors. The father of the Highland Park July 4th shooting suspect will stand trial. A Lake County judge rejecting a request to dismiss charges against Robert Cremo Jr. The father of Robert Cremo III facing charges stemming from allegations he helped his son get a FOID card. Lake County prosecutor Eric Reinhardt.
When Mr. Cremo signed the form that enabled his son to get a weapon, he also had intimate knowledge about his son's specific circumstances, a dangerous mix that would have stopped any responsible parent from proceeding.
Robert Cremo III faces numerous charges accusing him of killing 7 and wounding dozens more at the Highland Park Parade on July 4th of last year. Cubs gave up 4 runs in the top of the first en route to a 6-2 loss to the Brew Crew at Wrigley Field. Sox blanked by the Orioles at Camden Yards 9-0. The news a service of the Pride Stores with 17 locations throughout Chicagoland that include a Taco Urbano or Urban Counter restaurant. Stop by their newest location, the Pride of Kane County in St. Charles, on the corner of Kirk and Main. The Pride Stores, not your typical convenience store. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Best Buy is reporting an upbeat quarter. Sales declined, but not at the predicted pace. J.M. Smucker made more money than a year ago. Also, discount chain Big Lots says though it lost money in the period, its sales were holding up better than forecast. China-based electric vehicle maker NIO is reporting a disappointing quarter, though the company is expressing optimism about the business turning around. 3M's board has approved a $6 billion settlement of earplugs supplied to the U.S. military. Veterans have sued, alleging the earplugs fail to protect their hearing from noise damage. And Alaska Airlines will now use biometrics to verify your passport before you take an international flight. Your digital ID will be stored on your mobile device. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
It's 8:04. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Hey, is your cell phone in desperate need of replacement? It's time to put that old phone to rest. Upgrade to the all-new 5G Samsung Galaxy, and you can get it from Pure Talk for absolutely free. Now, get a free 5G Samsung Galaxy with 2-day battery life and ultra-strong Gorilla Glass when you sign up for Pure Talk's unlimited talk, text, and 15-gig data plan for only $35 a month. Plus, it comes with mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword SAVE NOW, Pure Talk.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss, even when you monitor your credit. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
8:07, and let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And the Edens is at a heavy 41 minutes right now, Lake Cook Road to the junction. 90 minutes in on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound on the Kennedy, right now it's 43 out to the big airport. Ike inbound, it is a mess because of inbound construction down to one lane as you roll close to downtown, as you roll into IDB Wells Drive, Congress Parkway. Right now, your delay is all the way back to First Avenue into the old post office, and it is 2 hours right now from 390 into the old post office. Ike on the outbound side is 30 minutes back outbound to Manheim, 43 to 390. The Stevenson right now jammed solid from the Des Plaines River Bridge all the way into the Dan Ryan. It's 75 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Stevenson outbound accident right shoulder between Ashland and Pulaski. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and some sun, a brief shower around the midday today. Look for a high of 82. Clear tonight, low 59. Sun and patchy clouds, a breezy day tomorrow, the high 71. Sunshine, a terrific day on Thursday, the high 77. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Warming up a bit, now 68 at O'Hare, 67 at Midway. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. He was not on the debate stage last Wednesday evening, but he is going to be on our stage, and we're happy to have him. He's former Texas Congressman Will Hurd. He served 3 terms as a member of the House Republican Caucus, district stretching from San Antonio to El Paso across along the southern border, I should say. Before that, he was a clandestine officer for the CIA. He's the author of the book American Reboot, and he's a Republican candidate for president in 2024. Will Hurd, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, I really appreciate you having me on.
So let's begin at the beginning, which is always the best place to begin. Why are you running?
Look, I'm running because there's a number of generational defining challenges that we're facing as a country that I think are not getting enough attention. We're at a time where the Chinese government is trying to surpass us as the global superpower, and every American should care about that, because if the Chinese government wins, that means the dollar is not going to go as far as we're used to having it go. Our 401ks and retirements are not going to last as long as we thought they were going to last. Our kids and our grandkids are not going to have access to the best paying jobs in the world. This is going to impact our way of life. We're at a time, another challenge we're facing with is new technologies like artificial intelligence are going to upend every single industry, not in 10 years, but in 2 or 3 years. And our kids have the worst grades in math, science, and reading that they've had this century. These are major problems. These are all things that I've seen through my time, whether it's dealing with foreign policy and national security, or being in Congress working on every legislative issue, or being in the private sector where I've worked with some of the most cutting edge technologies. I recognize I'm a dark horse candidate, but these challenges are going to determine whether America can, for the next 247 years, do what we've done for the last 247 years, and that's have a quality of life that it has been the envy of the world.
As a Congress member who dealt with, El Paso, Texas, and towns along the border, what would you do differently than President Biden is doing right now?
Sure, Amy. Thanks for that question. When I was in Congress, the area I represented was larger than 26 states. It was roughly the size of Georgia. I had 820 miles of the border, and it took me 10 and a half hours to drive across my district. I'm at 80 miles an hour, which was the speed limit in most of the district, but my wife found out it's not the speed limit in all of the district. And we, the things
I know it's a long state. Woo.
Yeah, it is. Look, this crisis that we're dealing with, let's get some stats on it, right? So more than 5.5 million people have come into this country illegally under Joe Biden. Each one of them have paid somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 to a human smuggler. And these are only the people that we know. There's a thing called a gotaway, and those are people that have actually tried to sneak in. We knew that they were trying to sneak in, but Border Patrol wasn't able to apprehend them. The majority of these 5.5 million come across the border and surrender, give themselves up to Border Patrol. So if they're paying, let's say $10,000, that's $55 billion that human smugglers in Mexico are making. Okay, give some context to that number. The market cap of McDonald's is like $30 billion. Starbucks is like $25 billion, right? That's just human smugglers. We're not even talking about fentanyl. Fentanyl killed 109,000 people last year in the United States, twice as many that were killed from gun violence. And so the first thing I would do is stop treating everybody that comes into our country as an asylum seeker. You know, this is a super wonky thing. Asylum is real. Asylum should be allowed for some people. Some people need asylum. But when everybody is abusing the asylum system, the people that need asylum are getting screwed.
No question.
And so, right, so that's the first thing. Stop that. And guess what? You don't need Congress to do this. This is an interpretation that has been directed on how Department of Homeland Security should handle things. That's one. Point two, I would treat human smugglers and drug trafficking organizations as terrorist groups. What does that mean? I know something about fighting terrorists. When I was in the CIA, my job was to stop terrorists from coming to try to blow up our homeland again. I was in the CIA when 9/11 happened, and after 9/11, I had to stop nuclear weapon proliferators from bringing dirty bombs into our country, and I stopped the Chinese and Russian spies from trying to steal our secrets. Right, that was my job. Did in India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, a number of other places in between. And we are not making drug trafficking and human smuggling a national intelligence priority. Now,
well, I mean, not interrupt, but there's a story out this morning that a smuggler who brought in Uzbek nationals has ties to ISIS, and they're trying to figure out who was brought in by this smuggler. So, I mean, like treating them as a terrorist organization, we literally have terrorist organizations potentially involved in this racket.
Sure. So there's a list of suspected people that may or may not be connected to terrorists, and the highest number of people that have been captured in the last year on that. And it's not just the southern border anymore; it's also the northern border. In the last 9 months, the northern border Border Patrol on the northern border has apprehended more people than in the last 9 years combined.
Wow.
And now the aggregate numbers are still nowhere near what you're seeing on the southern border, but this problem is starting to become a issue on our northern border as well. So look, we should be treating fentanyl like a weapon of mass destruction. We do not allow the precursor elements of like a dirty bomb to come into our country. Why are we allowing a poison come into our country that's killing 109,000 Americans a year?
Would you?
Third thing I would do.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but just on that point, what was your reaction to what Governor DeSantis said that he would send special forces into Mexico to essentially stop the cartels?
Sure. You can't invade our largest trading partner. I'm fine with having the military in cooperation with actions of the Mexican government, and not just the Mexican government. El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. There's plenty of countries who have services that are willing to take the fight to the drug trafficking organizations. And if they need equipment, support, training, all that kind of stuff, we should be doing that, right? And so, unfortunately, right now, when it comes to Mexico, the U.S.-Mexican bilateral relationship is one of the worst it's ever been. Partly it's because of Joe Biden and not paying the right attention and understanding that the U.S., Mexico, and Canada should be doing a lot of more things together. It's also the Mexican president as well has his perspective on his role in the country. But the Mexican
why can't these three socialists get along? Obrador, Biden, and Trudeau. I mean, they're all reading from the same playbook. What's the problem?
Look, I'm with you on that, and guess what? That's why you're going to see some change probably in Mexico in the next election, and the Mexican public, right, are as frustrated with the drug smuggling and the human smuggling, and the fact that Lopez Obrador kind of says that fentanyl, Mexico has no role to play in the fentanyl crisis. That's just absolutely insane. The fact that you would have him denying that. But go ahead.
No, I just wanted to get to a couple other topics.
Sure, of course.
Since you weren't on the debate stage on Wednesday night, I wanted to get your reaction to the exchanges between Ramaswamy and Haley, Ramaswamy and Pence on Ukraine, those exchanges, and where you come down on our approach to Ukraine and repelling the Russian invaders?
Look, Mr. Ramaswamy has said himself he's only been paying attention to foreign policy for the last 6 months. I think it shows. We shouldn't kiss dictators' butts, plain and simple. And one of the questions I get asked the most about when I'm on the trail in places like New Hampshire and Iowa, it's a question about Ukraine. And usually it's nobody wants to see a forever war happen in Ukraine. And we shouldn't do that, but we should be helping the Ukrainians. And to me, a victory is pushing the Russians out of all of Ukraine, to include Crimea and Donbass. The United States has built an international order that benefits us. And when we don't defend that international order, it hurts us. And for 5% of the DoD budget, we've been able to dismantle the Russian military without having to send our sons, daughters, and spouses. I think that's a good deal. The problem is the Biden administration is not getting the equipment and material to the Ukrainians at the speed at which it can be effective. And that is the broader problem. This is going to have ramifications in places like Taiwan. If Ukraine loses, we can kiss Eastern Europe goodbye. They're going to go back to the orbit of Russia. We can also kiss Western Europe goodbye, because they're going to recognize that, hey, we can't trust America to have our back, so they're going to start dealing with the Chinese government. And it goes back to that first problem I identified. This is one of the ways the Chinese government is going to try to surpass us as a global superpower.
All right,
we need somebody in office who can address these issues on day one.
Understood. Do you think President Trump should be taken off the ballot using Section 3 of the 14th Amendment?
Look, I think putting this issue of Donald Trump to administrative folks, a lot of them who are not elected, is going to be more disastrous than not. I'm not a legal scholar, so the fact that this provision of the 14th Amendment has never been used. I've been clear in my criticisms of Donald Trump, and I think the best way to deal with Donald Trump is to actually beat him in an election, not in a courtroom or some administrative action.
That's fair enough. And with respect to the CIA, you're a clandestine officer for 9 years, as I mentioned at the outset. What is your assessment? It's like talking to former FBI agents about, assessing where the agency's been taken by Comey and to really a similar extent at this point, in my view, Wray. So where the agency was taken under Brennan, its participation in the Russian collusion hoax, its participation in running interference for Joe Biden and the Hunter Biden laptop matter prior to the 2020 election. What's your assessment of where the CIA is today,
Sure.
and how much it should be trusted by ordinary Americans like us?
Sure. And look, Dan, I appreciate the question, and as someone who's come out of that world, it's frustrating to me that some of our former leaders have eroded the trust that the American public have in these institutions that are important. Look, John Brennan is no longer the head of the CIA. Let's make that clear,
Right.
and that's a good thing. I was critical of him. He put his thumb on the scale when it came to the old the report that assessed the 2016 elections. I was clear at that time when I was in Congress. I was on the House Intel Committee at that time. And unfortunately, some of our senior leaders have made bad decisions and ultimately political decisions that has hurt the rank and file. I will say this. The rank and file, the people that are in the CIA, are putting themselves in harm's way every single day and every single night in tough, dangerous places in order to collect intelligence to protect our homeland. If most Americans knew the amount of threats that we are dealing with on a daily basis, a lot of folks wouldn't come out of their house. And so when I say the rank and file move forward and are frustrated with their leadership, but they're going to continue to do their job to protect America. Former leaders that go on TV and act as if they have access to information other people don't. It's bad tradecraft as an intelligence official, and it erodes that trust that I've talked about. And so again, calling out and being critical of that we can be critical of those leaders that have made those mistakes, but also still be supportive of the rank and file that keep us safe.
We can. It's just a question of, exactly where the problem is and how large it is, and that's what we're still trying to get our handle on, particularly more so in the FBI than the CIA. But Mike Morell's participation in that letter, that op-ed, that letter from all those intel officers prior to 2020 sort of is a stain that won't go away for obvious reasons. But I wonder on the FBI then, you've seen, again, you have somewhat different roles, but the FBI has a counter intel role too, and one wonders if maybe part of and we've talked to like Kevin Brock, the former assistant director of counter intel. One wonders if maybe it's not just a personnel problem, it's a mission scope problem, and that the FBI needs to be pared down a little bit. That Christopher Wray needs to go. I don't know if you agree, and that the FBI's mission needs to be tapered a bit to focus on domestic law enforcement and less so some of these sort of quasi domestic international, like checking the backgrounds of Syrian migrants back in the day, those sorts of things. Let's taper it. Let's get them out of election politics and focus on domestic law enforcement and supporting state and local domestic law enforcement.
Sure. Look, I think now, one, Chris, you asked about Ray. We need people in these positions that have trust of the American people. And when half the country loses trust, then it's time to try to find somebody else. And two, look, the problem has always been that these issues of the FBI or a rogue officer doing something that in order to chase some high-profile case and not checking, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. There's a long history of that going all the way back to J. Edgar Hoover. And that issue and that problem, and whether it's training, how people get promoted, the focus of these entities needs to be evaluated. And so part of this, a law enforcement entity is never going to be able to do intelligence well. It's two very different muscle movements. It's two very different skill sets, and I think that's always when we've found these problems. You can go with the 2016 election, as an example of that. So I think restricting or narrowing the focus of the FBI and our federal law enforcement is always a good, healthy conversation to have. But you got to have the leaders in those places that people can trust. That does, and Congress has a role in that as well, in their oversight function of these agencies.
He is former Texas Congressman Will Hurd. He is a Republican candidate for president 2024. The website Hurd, that's Hurd, hurdforamerica.com. The book is American Reboot. Great to talk to you. Hope to have you back. We've got a lot of issues, including cultural ones we didn't have the time to get to, but love to have you back and continue this conversation.
Hey, Dan and Amy, I really appreciate y'all letting me come on at the time, and a lot of folks that are supporters of mine love your show, and I get emails about y'all. So thanks a bunch for the time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll have you back soon. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, folks. Dennis Prager here. Are you worried about investing in the stock market, especially with Joe Biden in office? Do you trust the economy? What if you could invest in a secure, collateralized portfolio with a high fixed rate of return that's not correlated to the stock market or the Fed? A portfolio where you will know what each monthly statement will look like with no surprises. Your interest is compounded daily. You are paid monthly, and there are no fees. You can turn your income on or off, compound it, whatever you choose, and there is absolutely no loss of principal if you ever need your money back. Just go to investyrefy.com. That's invest, the letter Y, then REFY.com. Or call 888-YREFY, that's Y-R-E-F-Y, 24. You can earn a fixed rate of return of up to 10.25%. Just call 888-YREFY24 or go to investyrefy.com and tell them Dennis Prager sent you.
You can shed that fat, be slimmer for the summer. or the rest of it, into the fall. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. There's no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. You lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40-plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose that weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. 40 days, contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. T is Dr. Turovets, who is the founder of NJ Diet. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook, or is available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
All right, I'm doing it. Taking Balance of Nature. Why? Did not get enough fruits and veggies on my own. I think I had one vegetable yesterday. And that's where Balanced Nature comes in. 6 capsules, 3 fruits, 3 vegetables. There's 31 different whole fruits and vegetables in those bad boys. Real food, real nutrition. And people who take it have increased energy, the ability to keep doing the things that they love even as they age. And again, there's that wide variety of fruits and vegetables. I bet you can't even name 31 fruits and veggies. Dan, can you name 31 fruits and veggies? Or you have no interest?
If I had enough time.
Oh,
or interest. I have neither.
That's a guy who needs some Balance of Nature right there. It'll probably help your golf game, too. The number to call is 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago. First-timers get free shipping and 35% off. Or you can go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We've got an important ruling from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit with respect to penis squeezing and qualified immunity. We'll have a Law and Order update before the end of the show.
Excuse me?
Yeah, the penis squeezing case is in. The decision's
Is
been...
the pension python back?
The
back
decision's,
squeezy?
the decision's been handed down.
Okay, I see what you did there. All right, but now let's head into here's Mike Scott.
69 degrees at 8:31, and Florida residents are bracing for the arrival of Hurricane Idalia. The National Weather Service has hurricanes warnings and storm surge warnings up for about a half dozen counties in Florida. It will likely make landfall tomorrow as a Category 3 storm, but we'll continue to watch. Classes canceled today after a faculty member at the University of North Carolina was shot to death on campus Monday. Police have a suspect in custody. An investigation is underway following a deadly double shooting on Chicago's West Side. 2 men were shot last night in the 3400 block of West 5th Avenue. One of the victims died at a nearby hospital, the other in very critical condition. A man is charged in a domestic stabbing outside a fitness club in Orland Park and is due in bond court later on today. Police say a woman was stabbed in the parking lot of Lifetime Fitness. She is in stable condition. Peter Surdick was arrested and faces multiple charges, including attempted murder. Investigators say he and the victim have had an on-again, off-again relationship over the past year. Officials in Barrington Hills are asking for the public's help to locate a bull that has escaped from a resident's property. The village shared photographs of the bull on their Facebook page and were captured on security cameras in the area of Illinois Route 62 and Old Sutton Roads. The brown and white bull is no pushover, reported to weigh 1,600 pounds. And, of course, if Matt Eberflus gets to him first, he'll suit up for the Bears on the offensive line. Cubs gave up 4 runs in the top of the first en route to a 6-2 loss to the Brewers at Wrigley Field. Sox blanked by Baltimore at Camden Yards, 9-0. The news is service of Townstone Financial. Townstone can help you purchase a home faster and almost as easy as typing TOWNSTONE.com. Nobody beats their rates. Illinois Mortgage Licensee 6629, NMLS 136639. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum is confident about Trump.
4 indictment Trump championship, which is pretty much making fun of these fake indictments. Trump is going to win the championship on those. The gut feeling that I have based on the totality of circumstances is that Trump probably didn't do none of this stuff. It's all a witch hunt. They thought it would hurt his chances, and it just made him bigger and powerful. Then he's turned into the Incredible Hulk now.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Last week's GOP debate in Milwaukee was quite the gift to Joe Biden. The president must be amazed at his good fortune. In the first debate, the Biden-orchestrated fiasco in Afghanistan of 2 years ago came up only fleetingly. His appeasement of the Chinese Communist Party and its dictator for life, Xi Jinping, barely rated a whisper. And not a word was spoken about the left's sustained assault on the Supreme Court and the moral threat it poses to the rule of law. Instead of calling viewers' attention to Biden's disastrous first term and why, for the good of the nation, Biden must be denied his second one, the Republican candidates mostly agreed with each other, but did so in a combative way that will serve only to further divide an already divided GOP primary electorate. Talk about missed opportunities. The seriousness of this moment for America and for the world did not come through at all. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, for those considering careers in politics and policy.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
It's made a huge difference for both me and my wife. My wife and I are both educators. I'm a professor and she's a school teacher. And so, it's made a huge difference with us, the amount of energy. When you teach, you need a lot of energy, believe me, with the kids. And it's helped both of us maintain and not burn out through the course of the year. And it's made a huge difference in how we approach our teaching, how we can get through it all every day.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. And for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Cabino Environmental Response Team. Find them online at cabinoenvironmental.com.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. A service of Discover. Discover credit cards do something pretty awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. Doubled. That's right. Cash back from trips, restaurants, doubled. See terms and check it out for yourself. Discover.com. 888-866-007-match. The Kennedy right now at an hour and 45 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Eisenhower also in black numbers right now, and that's not good. Route 390 to the old post office right now, setting at about 2 hours, all due to ongoing road work that is set up right near the Circle interchange as you head into Congress Parkway, Ida B. Wells, until Saturday, September 2nd, so beware of that. Stevenson right now at 80 minutes, extra heavy, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. The Reagan right now stuck and slow eastbound between 22nd, Cermak, and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun, a brief shower around midday is possible. High 82. 69 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This segment of Law and Order, I want to talk about the legal protections against penis squeezing, but Amy, you want to squeeze a little bit more out of the shooting that happened at the G-Spot on Friday night.
Well, there was a doctor there. Can I get a doctor? Is there a doctor in the house who was at the game? Dr. Farnan. She works at University of Chicago. She's the one who was first on the scene to administer aid.
And there was a woman who had an obvious wound to her right medial calf. Her companion was holding pressure with napkins. When I got there, I introduced myself as a physician and said, what's going on? And she said, I heard what sounded like a bottle break, and then I felt a sting.
And a bullet, just a single bullet, had gone, it hit her in the calf and then came back out. But then there was a second victim who had some pain in her stomach.
I asked her where she was hurt. She lifted her shirt up, and she had what looked to be like a cigar burn almost on her abdomen. And I was like, okay. So someone had given her a towel, so we put the towel on it, and I walked her back over to where the first woman was.
What do you think happened there?
I don't know, but I mean, it sounds like that fat fold story is, maybe I wouldn't say substantiated, but it's going in that direction. This is obviously some sort of accidental shooting by somebody who had a gun in the stadium. A cigar looks like a cigar burn. Well, that sounds like. Did they do gun residue on it?
They took the shell casing. They're doing gun
That's
testing. The residue on the shell casing and on the people.
I mean, maybe that woman just is a cigar smoker and she burned herself, or maybe she had a hot barrel and and then and then it hit the other, and then by the time, because it was small caliber, it hit the third person. It didn't even break the skin, and that's what you got.
But some people were complaining, why didn't you empty the ballpark when there was a shooting?
Because it was already empty.
We're dispelling a lot of things. It's coming from outside. It's something that we've almost completely dispelled, but we're still looking at every avenue.
And then Marianne Ahern, who I love. I don't know. I think she's still
one of the Bouvier sisters.
Oh, stop
She must miss her sister.
Oh, Carol?
Yeah, retired. Yeah.
Yeah. No. She's the best we have in Chicago. Are you kidding me? Listen to this. I don't
There's
roll
a
your.
statement. There's a statement.
Compared to the guy from Fox 32, this is an
yeah.
actual reporter.
We made that request initially because we did not know what was going on. We had reports of people being shot at Sox Park, but that wasn't confirmed, so we allowed the game to continue, not to create a panic.
But sir, there was a doctor there. A doctor superintendent was there.
So what?
Who came to the aid and saw that there was. If you don't answer the questions, it looks like you don't want to tell us the answers.
Because literally, Brandon Johnson grabbed Waller and moved him for the microphones, and they left.
It's a So what? What did she like? tamp down the Sam Donaldson routine. So
what?
what?
Do you mean? She's, why are you walking away? Just
Well, you
answer
can-
the question.
Why don't you go find out what happened at Willowbrook? Why doesn't somebody ask Jim Mendrick a question? Since we don't have any idea what happened at Willowbrook with respect to the DuPage County Sheriff's Police, we have a pretty good idea what happened here. And so what? So yeah, so
just say the truth.
So well, fine. So a doctor rendered. What is confusing about this? A doctor rendered aid. Now you want to debate whether or not White Sox security should have cleared the stadium. I guess you can debate that, but you heard the police chief already say you didn't want to cause a panic. It's obvious that it came from inside the stadium. You had a shell, you had a spent shell, and then the thing was over.
Right,
and
but
so,
then
so
say
what?
that. You're the interim superintendent. Just say that. It was an accidental shooting. We don't know how. We're still investigating how she got the gun into the cell, into the ballpark.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they won't do that, so they run away. That's why I applaud
that's-
Mary and We're like, where are you going? This is so stupid. You can end this now.
fine.
Just
It's not-
tell us the truth.
It's not a big. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I guess. Okay.
All right, now I'm going to hear about penises. Excuse me.
Well-
can I even say that on the radio?
You just said it.
I did. That's because you have corrupted
Well, I
me.
mean, I just think this is. I mean, like shootings in Chicago are so uninteresting. Even at the cell, even where you think
Really?
shootings wouldn't occur.
Oh, and by the way, the 42-year-old is a Chicago public school teacher.
Okay.
Well, they released a statement wishing her well on her recovery.
I mean, this is honestly, this is like it's like
I couldn't
listening
believe it.
to a network affiliate newscast, which is why nobody watches it.
Okay, listen. I thought
This is
CTU
just
was so
without point.
anti-firearms, and now like whatever.
It's just without. Okay.
Maybe that's not why they're saying what happened because she's a union member. Who knows?
I mean, I don't.
Crazier things have happened.
Like trying to manufacture controversy. Should they or should they have not evacuated the stadium? I mean, it was past post at that point. It wasn't an active threat. They knew it. They don't want to make a public statement that's conclusory because they're still investigating. Blah blah blah. But I mean, they probably have a pretty good idea at this point. And they probably, if this theory that's being circulated
them the
is
theory.
true about the smuggling the gun in through fat folds, then you got to check to, the next question is going to be, well, how did she get through the metal detector? And then somebody's going to say, well, we're TSA trained, so 96% of guns get through. Or somebody
happen
looked
at the
the other
airport.
way, or so you just and then they got to get all their ducks in a row to answer questions from Marion Ahern when she does her Sam Donaldson
It's
routine.
Sam Donaldson.
All right. In other matters that involve the penal system,
All right, what do you got?
a genital squeezing in jail is not related to a legitimate penological purpose, and thus not protected by qualified immunity. I'm just wanting. We have a lot of law enforcement officers who listens to this show. I want to pass along because this is best practices here.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
All right, I'm not that hard up for this story, so we'll let Ryan from New Lenox on, and then I'll get back to this. Ryan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan and Amy, thanks for taking my call. I'm surprised you guys haven't thought of this already. I think the way she got the gun into the stadium is through Jerry Reinsdorf's special owner's door. I think he set the whole thing up to try and get further traction on getting the team out of Chicago.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
the timing is unbelievable.
It is interesting timing, but I don't know. I mean, did you see the melee in one of the corporate suites a couple weeks ago that was caught on video and posted online? Like all these girls kicking each other, and it was the typical. I mean, so part of this is like, I don't know, it's bound to happen at the G spot.
Yeah, right.
Matt in Oak Lawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Round of beers is $52 to sell. So you bring that little prom queen down there and have her slide a couple of Coors Lights under her belly. I'd take her to any game she wanted.
Oh my God!
I don't need a cozy. I've got
her,
my lady
teacher friends are gonna have a fat pension.
Do they call it a cozy or a koozie?
It's a koozie.
Koozie, yeah. I don't like
a
them.
cozy.
I don't use them.
What for your high
Koozie.
noons? You can use one for your high noon. Or do you drink those anymore?
Yeah, I do actually. I had one at this golf outing I played yesterday.
Oh, what golf?
Very refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
Helping Hands. We played out Ruth Lake. It's agency that serves the developmentally disabled community. Very
That's
good.
great. Good for
great,
you.
great organization. Good
How'd
time.
you hit him?
And I had, and then I did my little girl drunk thing with my high noon.
Was Mark Sapolso there?
He was not. Yeah. He's at some tiki bar having Mai Tais. Girl drunk that he is.
He's sober now. He doesn't drink anymore.
Oh, fantastic.
What?
Not that.
Well, good for him. That's a huge accomplishment.
Well, I don't really consider white wine spritzers drinking.
Okay.
Just saying. All right, anyway, back to this
yes, sir.
important decision, explosive decision, really, that was handed down by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Eighth Circuit. Let me give you the backstory on this. Wilbert Glover brought this case against Minnesota Corrections Officer Richard Paul. Mr. Glover alleges Mr. Paul, quote, made me take off my jumpsuit. He's corrections officer. Made me take off my jumpsuit, strip searched me, took his hand, and grasped my penis, squeezed it hard and gestures. Mr. Glover's not an English major. Glover sought medical care after the incident. That's how hard was the penis squeeze. Filed a complaint against Paul. Paul responded claiming that, quote, he never touched Mr. Glover's genitals or otherwise touched him inappropriately. And even if he had, though I haven't, even if I did, but I didn't, he's protected by qualified immunity, which, of course, as you know, because we've talked about this, the defund the police movement has pushed to eliminate qualified immunity for police officers, generally speaking.
Right.
That insulates them from liability for some mistakes. The district court for the District of Minnesota rejected Paul's argument, and the U.S. Court of Appeals upheld the decision in favor of Mr. Glover, concluding that Officer Paul's alleged actions violated Glover's clearly established constitutional right to be free from excessive force in the form of sexual assault or abuse, and that squeezing a detainee's penis hard is not a proper part of a search.
Where did you find this story?
This is Reason Magazine.
Okay. What? Don't look at me like that.
Libertarians like to keep up with the law governing genital touching.
Okay. Well,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of, it's...
okay, it's part of life.
It is.
We don't really relate to that, but okay.
Well, I mean,
we really don't have appendages, but I mean, well, I don't know. How do I dig myself?
Some have more than others, I suppose.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Are you considering a unique way to enhance your investment knowledge this year? Then sign up today for the all-inclusive Eagle Financial Publications Cruise. Along with our trusted partner, The Money Show, we're setting sail this December to explore some of the most beautiful and unspoiled destinations in the Caribbean. But this is no ordinary vacation. It's a chance to learn from top Eagle financial experts like best-selling authors George Gilder, Mark Skousen, and others who will be hosting a series of workshops and seminars throughout the trip. Imagine lounging on the sun deck while discussing investment strategies with like-minded individuals, or enjoying a gourmet dinner at the same table with one of our leading financial authorities. This once-in-a-lifetime cruise is a perfect way to combine education and relaxation to achieve your investment goals. This cruise will sell out quickly, so visit EagleFinancialCruise.com today to learn more and to secure your cabin. That's EagleFinancialCruise.com. Eagle Financial is a division of Salem Media Group.
All right, there might be a brief shower this afternoon. How's your basement holding up? Well, if you have water in your basement or your crawl space, why are you living like that? Because eventually that musty odor, the humidity is going to creep its way into your living area, and you don't have to live like that. So call our good friends over at Permaseal, and they will come over for a free evaluation. They are a trusted company. They've been around for 40-plus years, an A-plus from the Better Business Bureau, a 4.9 Google rating. What is not to love? And they have crews out there all the time making sure that your home and your basement is dry. The number to call, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or online at permaseal.net.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
It's made a huge difference for both me and my wife. My wife and I are both educators. I'm a professor and she's a school teacher. And so, it's made a huge difference with us, the amount of energy. When you teach, you need a lot of energy, believe me, with the kids. And it's helped both of us, maintain and not burn out through the course of the year. And it's made a huge difference in how we approach our teaching, how we can get through it all every day.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. And for a limited time for Labor Day, get 40% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. This offer ends September 5th. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you're young and healthy, term life insurance should be quick and painless. In fact, if you're 40 years old and in great health, $1 million of term insurance could cost less than $30 a month with no exam and could be issued the same day. But if you aren't a perfect specimen, that's where choosing the right insurance agent could save you thousands of dollars on your premium. If you're overweight or have health issues that come with getting older, you need to call Big Lou. Big Lou has the same issues as you and still knows how to get you quick and painless coverage if you have a few extra pounds, have diabetes, or stop breathing a few times per night. In fact, many 40-year-old clients can still get coverage without an exam and up to $1 million of coverage for less than $100 per month. Call Big Lou today to see how quick and painless life insurance can be at 800-276-1640. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-276-1640. That's 800-276-1640 or biglou.com.
Freedom and liberty are important to all of us in Illinois, from Rockford to Carbondale, from Quincy to Decatur. If you're looking for civil, intellectual conversations with those shaping the future of freedom, try the Future of Freedom podcast with me, Scott Bertram. We speak with leaders across the country in the greater conservative and libertarian movements. In-depth conversations about where the next intellectual battles will happen across the country. It's the Future of Freedom podcast. Find it at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, the Naperville JC's Last Fling is back. From September 1st through September 4th, enjoy the last of summer in downtown Naperville with carnival rides, live music. Hey, maybe we can get Quinn McCarthy's band to play. What was it,
Smiling Politely.
Yeah,
I don't
after
know.
he did that wonderful.
Oof. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, so live music, maybe with or without.
Who do they
Quinn's
got?
band.
They usually get like a big act from, 30 years ago, but
Eddie Money's not around anymore.
he has passed away. But no, who do they have? They don't. You don't know?
Justin,
you don't know the
you
guy
wanna
they
help
have?
me out? Well, it's Carnival Rides, live music. We'll find out who it is.
Yeah.
And food vendors. Admission is free. Oh, that's even better. What's better than a concert? A free concert. For more information, check out lastfling.org. That's lastfling.org. And Justin, did you find out who's performing? No.
High Infidelity is playing.
What's that? Yeah. Oh. Any?
It's all cover bands.
Yeah.
Oh.
And if you do go, watch out for those, Chardonnay Antifa moms in Naperville. Ghastly people. Speaking of the converse of that, meet Mrs. America 2023. Her name is Hannah Nealman. She lives in Utah.
I bet she's blonde. Going out on a limb.
She is a Juilliard grad.
Oh.
She's a former Miss New York City.
Why is she in Utah?
Because she doesn't want to be in New York City. She's the mother of 7 kids, 33 years old.
Oh, she's got to be Mormon.
And she was asked this question during the Miss America competition that she won. Take a listen.
When have you felt the most empowered?
I have felt this feeling 7 times now as I bring these sacred souls to the earth after I hold that newborn baby in my arms. The feeling of motherhood and bringing them to the earth is the most empowering feeling I have ever felt.
Yeah. How about that from Mrs. America?
Wow.
The anti-feminist feminist, the real feminist.
I want to see her picture, though. She sounds like a lovely lady. Do
Right.
you have it over there? Or do I have to
No, I don't have it in my pocket, but
Well, I
it is
thought
available
maybe.
online.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.